Hello.
Yeah, that's your name.
Squirrels got me.
Big Jim.
Yeah.
Really cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
Cold and fun.
That's good that you think of it because that's what deer hunting typically is cold and fun.
Yesterday morning, I'm glassing up on the pass and I see these deer moving, and I'm like, ooh, there's deer moving. All of a sudden, I just see this person just head down, just hauling ass, wearing shorts and a t-shirt with a pack on. And I'm like, is that Tard? My dad always talks about floating through the woods like the autumn breeze.
So Robert's
when you're
the
275 pounds, I don't know how you do that, but
the Freightliner. It's just like a creeper. You're just kind of up in the corner watching what's going on down there.
Yeah.
You know,
he's like,
he's up there slapping it, pissing all over everything.
Is it warm yet?
How did you know the name of the actor?
I know.
Why did you say his name?
Hervé Villechaize.
You know what pert near means.
If you know what pert near means and you live in America, you're a redneck too.
Welcome to the Log Talk Podcast, brought to you by Pert Near Outdoors. It's that time of year. It's that time of year where we all need to be thinking about, do we have everything we need to hit the woods? Chances are you don't, and if you think you do, you probably could use some more. So how about you go over to thehuntworks.com and check out all the incredible products these guys are carrying. This is a great family, local store. Dan and Steve Dunnigan, a couple hardworking sumbitches. They are now carrying archery equipment, everything from bows to arrows to broadheads, quivers, you name it. So on top of all the great tree stands and box blinds that they're carrying, they're now a full-on archery dealer, and really recommend that you check these guys out for your next big purchase. Head over to thehuntworks.com to see what they've got for sale, or if you're local in the Rochester area, head on over to their store in East Rochester on Dispatch Drive and check them out. They are on social media, The Huntworks, and also online, like I said. And if you purchase anything online, you can use promo code feedinum to get 5% off, and that's FEED, feedin, INUM, 5% off. Feed 'em. All right, that was a first. We got a couple canned official intros here. I'm getting finally a year in, starting to use this Rodecaster Pro the way it's supposed to be. So welcome back to this week's episode. This will be part 2 of Beers on the Deck. It's episode 164, and this is I feel like the conversation was really starting to get good as I broke it at the end of the last one, and we had a great time for this last hour and 45 minutes or so. We had Jim D from Pennsylvania and Big Jim, my brother, tuned in, and they joined us through the Bullhorn app, and we talked about all sorts of stuff, but probably the most fun part of this is hearing some of the stories, the continuation of the stories, but the stories of the big one from Pennsylvania. That is a classic deer camp story with the boys from Pert Near Outdoors, and anyone who has not heard it will thoroughly enjoy. And even if you have, you might really, really enjoy the delivery of this message on this podcast, because everybody was fueled up and the laughs were there, and they were genuine and good times. So thank you all for listening. I hope you've enjoyed these couple podcasts. Going to get back next week to some regular programming as far as some different stuff that we wanted to talk about on the show. So we have a podcast scheduled next week with Green Cover Seed. So that's a product that Dallas and I and our gang here have been using for the last couple summers, and out actually all year round with our different seed blends. So Dallas connected with them, and we're going to do a podcast next week there. So that'll be a live podcast on Bullhorn. I think we're going to do that Friday morning. So if you follow us on Bullhorn, or if you do not already and you'd like to tune in for that discussion, please check out that Bullhorn app. And I think we're going to probably broadcast that as well on Facebook and Facebook and YouTube. And then we have another podcast coming up with Sportsman's Alliance, which is an sportsman's advocacy group. Obviously a lot going on right now with that. Everything from hunting and fishing regulations that they keep track of, but also all the two-way stuff right now, which is hot and important, extremely important to be informed and knowledgeable about. So we'll have a couple people on there from Sportsman's Alliance, and got a lot more. I think we're going to do another show Tuesday night. Next Tuesday night, I think we're going to do a show with Ben Williams and talk a little bit about fall food plots and things like that. And a plug for Ben, he is now working with the Huntworks. Well, not just with the Huntworks, but he has product for sale himself. He's mixing seed for food plot blends, custom mixes for people based on what they want. So if you're not familiar with Ben, he is Old Tin Cup on Instagram and Facebook, as well as YouTube. So Ben is a local guy here over in the Finger Lakes, the Clyde area. And Ben is salt of the earth, great guy, and he's been such a huge help to us. And every event we've thrown, he's been there and offered up his services. And this past couple of weeks ago at our beer event, Ben came, and he, no joke, he scored deer nonstop for like probably 4.5 hours. And he never stopped. He just sat there at the table, and people were bringing him antlers over, and he was just awesome to have there. So long way to get here, but Ben now is selling seed, and I want to get him on here to talk about that, to kind of promote a little bit of what he's doing, but also know that you can also get his product over at the Huntworks. They are stocking it there, so check all that out as well. And you've heard my bit already on the Huntworks. So I'm going to wrap it up. That's a 7-minute intro, maybe a world record for me. Enjoy the podcast. Sit back, crack a cold one, even if it's like a cold brew, coffee or something. Just crack something cold, water, be healthy, and feed them. And enjoy some good times and good stories with the boys. Feed them.
Yeah. Oh, Emma, we got the new Can-Am Defender with tracks on it. We can haul more deer.
More deer. More deer in more places.
More deer, more beer.
It's funny.
Does anybody need any drinks, snacks, anything? Does anybody want? Ooh, does anybody want any? No, I got some apple pie moonshine. Anybody want some?
Ooh, yep.
Pass that around.
Dilly dilly.
So I started taking Ryline Road to work, and
That's bad. You shouldn't.
Well, you know what? It's funny because
Stay away.
I was taking it, and so 2 years ago, a year ago, I started taking it, and there was deer like in the road. It was crazy.
Huh.
And then they started getting used to me going through there, because I was the only truck going through there at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. So I started going through there, and there were deer all over the place. Well, they got used to me going through there, and I saw less and less and less. And just putting the little bit of pressure of me driving through there, I think,
Gave them a different route.
Killed it. You know what I mean? It killed the deer population.
Right. I don't know. That's left.
They would literally be like bedded right on the side of the road when I went through there.
I drove home the other night I did a podcast on Wednesday night. I drove home, well, it was Thursday morning, but it was like 2:45 in the morning. I mean, I'm like never on the road at that time of night. There was deer everywhere. It was wild. Like deer in yards, deer on the side of the road, deer crossing the road. It's pretty wild. That's deer time. Middle of the night like that.
Yeah, there was a bunch out this morning when I was driving around.
If you go around 5, and it's like it's hit or miss, but
I guess
how many?
That's more cider than it is moonshine or apple pie. That's aged about a year in the fridge. It's pretty good.
That's very good.
I don't know what Big Jim's trying to do. Big Jim asked me for a password to the Bullhorn app. So we talked. So we covered
preseason. We did bow season. We did Colorado.
We haven't. I want to hear Dallas's or Brad's story just so we can pick on him about his muzzleloader buck.
Well, we got to get through the gun season first.
Gun season, right? I mean,
for the brow time. All right. Well, let's.
Well, we got my gun buck. I've told that story on here.
Which your
couple times. My PA buck.
Yeah, well, that's going to be after Brad's gun buck and muzzleloader buck, right?
Well, my
Or between
it doesn't matter.
All right, well, why don't we start with Brad's first big monster,
Gun buck.
gnarly fucking hot rod.
The pavilion buck.
Yeah. The Pavilon buck.
5-1.
Gun season goes on. Things dry up like they do.
For both of us.
Brian asked me if I want to
Both at home and in the woods.
Everywhere.
Life, everything's dry.
Life dries up.
Brian asked me if I want to go to pavilion. Sure. I have jack going on where I am, so we both sit. It's cold, snowy.
Yeah, it's
and not too snowy, but it's cold. And we sit, and then
for like
neither one of us saw jack. So he's like, I'm gonna go way up the hill into that cemetery, or around the cemetery, and then into that little piece of woods there.
3-5.
And something should come running down into the wind. That's one of the big things that I learned this year is 99% of the times if you kick them up, especially a big buck, it is going to run into the wind, directly in the wind. Because after I killed that buck, we went back and did it again when the wind was a little different.
It was a southwest.
Guess what? We weren't set up for that thing to run into the wind, and a freaking buck ran out of there, ran directly into the wind, and Brian couldn't get a shot at it.
So, west wind, I set him up, and I know it's a 2-acre piece of woods. So, they are directly east. 16? So, they're directly east of Brad, and it's about a straight west wind. So, I'm like, well, this is going to be kind of tricky. They're either going to smell him or they're going to go right to him, right? Or right to him.
Well, when they're running 150 miles an hour, they have a hard time smelling you. And not that I'm stinky, but I just got a shooting stick.
Yeah.
I had a short piece of crap shooting stick that you had to use when you were sitting down. Well, I just got one of the real ones where you can use it standing up or
like a bog pot, or is it a Primos one, or
it's
what?
It's a Primos, it's a nice one.
A trigger stick?
Yeah. Standing up, whatever. So I'm sitting there. I got my 300, my trusty 300. And if you want something dead, that's the gun I take. But anyways, I'm like, I don't know if I like the shooting stick. I'm not really used to it, whatever. But I'm kind of screwing around with it or whatever. And
so we're like 500 yards apart, right?
Yeah.
But it's all open field.
Brian gets up in there and he's like, okay, I'm gonna be going through here. Well,
3-5.
Here comes this freaking deer running, and it's definitely a buck, and I'm in my scope and out of the scope and in the scope, and I'm like, oh yeah, I think so. But then
it's in corn and soybeans, so it's hard to see the horns, right?
Yeah, well, the corn was taken off, but I could see that it was wide.
Well, yeah, they're off, but I feel like they blend in. The corn and soybeans are combined.
It wasn't easy to see.
It's a bad background.
I literally went back and forth from the scope to open eye or just bare eye a million times, and then the thing was getting close, and I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Like, I need to decide what I'm going to do. And I only had a shot at its bare chest. Like, it was coming pretty much straight towards me.
Just like
and I freaking hit it, and it went down. Its ass end went down. And then I smoked it again. And it flopped down into the corn. Hit it.
Oh.
And Brian, I can't remember if I called Brian or Brian called me, but
I called you.
I go, Brian, I'm not really sure. I said I think it's only 18 inches wide. I'm not really sure if it's a good buck or not, but it's dead. And
it took him like a minute to tell me that though, because I'm like 2 shots, and I'm like, he's like, I don't know how much of a buck it was.
And he can always hear the shots hit, so he knew I hit the thing.
Yeah, knew something was good.
So I walk up on it, and I'm like, Brian. I'm yelling to him. I'm like, Brian, it's a good buck.
Well, I had already come over the hill. Yeah. I ran as soon as I jumped the buck. So this 2-acre plot, I go into it, and I'm 20 yards in, and I can see beam, and I'm like, oh shit! Like I could see a G3. Oh, I was thinking it was a G2 in the end of the beam, and he kept turning his head, and I was only like 35 yards away from him, 40 yards away from him. I'm close.
He walked right up on him. He didn't want to move.
He was bedded down, and I'm like, I keep going like that. Finally got up, and I see he was, I only figured it was 18 inches wide.
That's what I
like
thought he was when he came down the hill.
So I could have shot him laying there, but I couldn't tell how big he was. When he got up, I could see how wide he was. And I'm like, but I didn't see any tines. So I'm like, I ain't shooting that thing. Plus, I really didn't want to shoot where it was. But when I saw him, I'm like, oh, he's wide with no tines. I ain't shooting that thing. And he goes over the hill, and I'm just hoping Brad's going to shoot him.
Oh, I'm going to shoot him.
I'm just like, yeah. Like, when you push deer, like, there's nothing better than...
Oh, I know. When you
shooting.
know that the deer are up, and then all of a sudden you hear the shooting, it's like,
But
yes.
then when you know you push a deer by something, they're like, well...
They're hemming and hawing. I know.
So it ended up being a 133-inch. What was it, 10 point?
9 or 10.
9
He
or
was a
10.
gnarly 21.5-inch wide buck.
And he
huge.
didn't have huge tines, but he was heavy.
Big beams, 23 or
Buck was
4-inch
awesome.
tines. Yeah,
He was a cool buck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Brian, he's a good buck.
Well,
He's a
and
good
I'm
buck.
just so I started running, and I called him. He's telling me that story. Well, I don't know how big he was, and he's procrastinating. He's like, and finally he's like, I mean, he's dead.
Yeah.
And I'm like, woo! And I'm running, and we're like 400 or 500 yards apart, and I'm running over the soybean and cornfield. It's like soybean, cornfield, all combine, and come over, and he's freaking like sticking out of the combine corn. I mean, he was like 21.5 or 22.
Yeah, that buck was big, man.
So
outside.
It was funny
spread,
because I was looking for my brass, and the first shell freaking went like 15 feet. So I must have been like.
Yeah.
So he hit the ground, and then he kind of got back up again. You smoked him again, right?
Like I said before, if a buck like that is still
You
freaking
keep
moving,
shooting.
you shoot.
But he was 120 yards.
He was 150 yards when I shot him first, and then
Kind of running
slid.
right at him.
Yeah.
And he hit him right in the shoulder, but it was like straight on. He was right at him.
He was done the first shot, but
then he put another in him.
Yeah.
So it was awesome. Like when you push and your buddy shoots deer.
Oh, it feels so good. You don't even need to have a gun just to know that your friends had success.
Shoot.
I was in Molly's stand, and I'm like, man, if big buck comes out here, I'm gonna feel bad for shooting it in Molly's stand.
Did you feel bad?
No, I wasn't in her stand.
No.
I wasn't in her stand. I was out in the corner of the field.
Like 40 yards away.
Yeah.
But that's like when it doesn't matter who, what, when, where. Like if you're pushing deer and you're the pusher and you hear gunshots going off, like you feel so gratified.
But the opposite way. When you know you push a deer by something, they're like, yeah.
Right.
I didn't get a good look. I don't know if it was big enough. It's
We've had that discussion about PA. It's
Come
like
on.
there's so far and few between when you have those opportunities.
So the next week we went and did the same thing.
Yep.
And
it
the
was a
wind
southwest
different.
wind instead of a west.
And
But I sat in the same spot.
And a buck came out of the same freaking spot.
With a doe.
And again, Brian was like, I was looking at it. It was decent.
Yeah, it was decent.
And it ran away from him.
350. It was a few hundred yards running. At like a 45-degree angle through the field. And I put the scope on it. It was a decent buck. It was definitely like a good buck.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to shoot at it. Like, it was.
I was kind of surprised.
It was at least 300 yards. And they were freaking flying. You know what I mean? At like a...
Yeah, that's a poke.
I don't know.
You're running.
You know what I mean? It's like, I don't even know where to... And to me, it was a 2-year-old again. But I thought your buck was a 2-year-old.
So, yeah, that buck was
we
old.
come up on the... and I'm like, woo! We're drinking whiskey. That ain't a 2-year-old. That's a whiskey drinking son of a bitch. You know.
So that buck.
We're going to town.
We got some callers.
All right.
We got Emma. Emma's on the phone. She wants to talk to Dad. So, who wants to? I can pass my. Okay. Emma, you're up. Prepare yourself, child.
Okay.
What do you got?
Emma
Kirsch on the phone.
Why are you up?
Hello?
Yeah, why are you awake? Who's the adult in the house right now?
Because it's summer break and I can be.
You're grounded.
Good answer.
I can't debate that answer.
Yeah, also because my mom's cool, so like.
Wow, this seems staged.
She made you say that.
No, definitely not.
What do you want to talk about, Emma?
I don't know.
You don't know.
You want to
I
talk
just know my
about?
dad likes talking about food plots and not deer.
No, let's not talk about food plots. Let's talk about killing big deer.
Yeah, big bucks.
Yeah, but
What was
he always talking about his food plots.
what was your favorite part of this past deer season, Emma? Did you get a deer with your dad this year?
Well, we're not going to talk about the time that he shot a giant buck and I wasn't with him.
Yeah, but you went for the recovery.
Well, yeah, and that, I was kind of cold, but because we were only out there for like 3 hours.
Well,
Wasn't that long ago.
good things come with time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good things come to those who wait.
So it was bow
We were
hunting.
just
So
walking, and then we found blood, and then
And
then
then
we
what
finally
else?
found the deer.
Yeah, but it was walking and looking for blood and finding blood.
Oh,
And
well, I mean, if we're talking about deer season, there's also turkey season. I got a turkey.
yeah. All right. Talk about that then. That was fun.
All you did. Oh, we never talked about your opening day turkey.
I hate getting up in the morning. That's just miserable. And then after we got up, we went into this blind, and then the turkey started coming out in the field, and we had to wait till they got closer, and then we shot the biggest one.
of course.
You said shoot that
Yeah.
big fat one or something like that, right?
Yeah. Yep.
How many gobbles do you think we heard?
I
There was
don't know,
a
like a
lot.
lot.
A lot on the roost, right, Emma? They didn't gobble
Yeah.
a lot once they flew down, right?
Yeah, they flew down into the field, and then they walked up.
I think there was one gobble after they were out in the field, but before
Yeah,
that, I mean,
they
what
weren't
did we
that
hear,
loud when
50
they were
or
in the
100
field.
gobbles?
Oh, they gobbled a lot on the roost.
Two of them were kind of going back and forth there.
2 or 3, yeah.
How hard do you scout those turkeys, Dallas?
Hey, turkey hunting is
Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real hard.
Well,
Hey,
sorry,
we roosted them.
Emma.
Hey,
Yeah, we did. That's right.
me and Uncle Dallas roosted the shit out of them.
That's good. That was good.
Dallas is like, I've
Okay.
never had that happen. I'm like, happens all the time.
Happens all the time.
Every time, 100% of the time, that happens at least 5% of the time.
And I only get up at 2 times in the morning early because I hate getting up in the morning early. But if you go at like, you can only hunt till 12.
So you got to go earlier, right?
So like, yeah, but I hate getting up earlier.
Yeah, well, you're not the only one, Emma.
Gets easier.
Yeah.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
No, getting up in the
Because
morning.
they fly down like,
Emma, what do you think? What do you think about the buck huts? The big buck huts we bought you. Are those
The
good
what?
for napping?
I don't think she sat in one. She went up in one before the season, but we never.
I took her
actually
up in
hunted
bow season.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, but there
oh
was
yeah,
bees
there was
nesting.
there was bees.
Yeah.
You guys
Couple
gonna
thousand bees, yeah.
Spill that or
Yeah, just a couple thousand.
Give it the bread.
I think we're gonna need to do some extermination in those. That the one that's
Yeah,
sitting
that
over the front food plot.
We
That
had that one
one's
up.
that one's
Yeah.
got a
The
window
one-
opener.
Circumferences?
The one flipped over from the wind. The one day.
Yeah, but we took care of that.
That was Billy's fault.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know the ground was hard, so we just pounded it in half the way.
Yeah.
We took care of
How'd
that though.
work out for you?
So what else? So how many? You got any other questions, Emma, or anything you want to talk
no,
about?
No, not really. That's about it.
All right. Well, we appreciate you tuning in here for this week's edition of the Pert Near Outdoors podcast.
You're welcome.
You're one of our loyal followers, so we appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
The dollars you put towards this organization are much appreciated.
Yeah.
Your father's dollars.
Yeah.
All right, kid. We're gonna go on to the next phone call. Love you much.
So,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
Emma.
Go to bed.
Mhm.
Go to
Please
bed. It's
go
after
to sleep.
midnight. Nothing good happens after midnight.
Okay.
Which, yeah, she'll figure that out.
Yeah, she will figure that out. All right. I just promoted Big Jim. We got Big Jim on with us.
Big Jim.
Big
Can you
Jim.
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Is the audio all right?
It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What are you doing?
Did Jim Augustino there, PA Jim, did he call in?
Yeah, PA Jim needs to call in. Write me out.
Because if he calls in, he can talk first.
All right, meow.
Yeah, PA Jim, Lost Jim needs to call in.
I mean, back to the deer drive story. I mean, there's nothing better than hearing just gunshots ring out when people are pushing deer.
No.
Hell yeah, Jim. There's nothing makes your nuts tingle a little more than just seeing a deer run.
Jim, are you manning up this year and going to Pennsylvania?
I should probably try to do that this year.
I mean, your dad is, so.
Oh, Jesus. Is he now?
Yeah, he already paid me, so he's in.
You know, he's retired.
Well, he's paid you for a lot of things and then never done them.
This is a good point. He paid me for a vacation to Chautauqua Lake and only stayed there for a day.
Basically, he went to help you clean up and leave.
I appreciate his money, though. It's nothing wrong with that.
Cost them a phone and $800 for the vacation.
It was a good time. Hold on. What's going on here? Hold on one second, Jim. I want to try something. Something happened with Jim D's.
Feeding him.
Oh, there he is.
Oh.
Jim D.
Jim.
What's
Lost,
up, boys?
Lost Jim.
What's up, buddy?
that.
Lost Jim.
It's Big Jim and Lost Jim.
I can't say it would be any different if I was with you.
It doesn't matter.
I was listening to how Brad said he was lost the whole time. I was like, I'd be lost the whole damn time, too.
Brad's only been there 4 times. Give him a break.
He's only been lost once, so that's pretty good.
That's pretty
But he's
good.
killed 3 deer. Fuck
Listen,
you,
I didn't
Brad.
have a
Doing something
I didn't have
right.
a Garmin ride on my defense.
Him and my dad are the only people that can get totally lost and kill shit anyways, you know?
I mean, I went on the hunt in the late season there, and I was lost, and I had a rhino, so it really didn't do me any good.
Billy put you in a cliffed out spot.
Yeah. Guide Billy didn't do so good that day.
I mean, if we were to do that again, I could set somebody right in a great spot.
Now you know.
Now you know.
Well, Jimbo, you and I, we were just, we were with just the majority of us here a few hours ago. But Jim D, how are you, friend?
What's up, buddy?
Dude, I'm on cloud 9 right now. I just got home from a cornhole tournament.
Fuck yeah.
You didn't get it in you, did
Yeah,
you?
did you put any? You didn't eat corn on it, do you?
Oh God. Oh well, I came home. I'm the big winner tonight. I won $300 in a cornhole tournament, so I'm feeling pretty good. All right.
Are we going to cornhole again this year on the old beard?
Ooh.
Yeah, no. We will have cornhole at Pertinier Beer Day. So bring your bags.
I went for the old cornhole when I got home, and I got booted, so I'm in the basement.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Yeah, but you got to go for it, right? That's
Well, if you don't, you're gay.
but the cornhole though.
Well-
I mean, that's just metaphorical. You went for the
No, you got to go for the gold.
you went for the man the man you went for the man in the boat, right?
You don't want to go for the silver or the bronze and get lesser than that. Go for the gold.
Careful, my daughter's watching.
Oh, that's
I'm
right.
sorry.
That's right.
That's why he's going for the gold.
Going for the gold. We want to aim for the gold.
That's why I'm adding up math here with my buck.
Yeah.
Talking about the gold.
So, Jim, you were a happy new addition to the gang this year in Pennsylvania. So, you got any? We've kind of been talking through this past season, recapping. You got anything that you want to reflect on? Feelings?
Oh God, I tell everybody down here that I can't wait to go back, and that I refuse to hunt with anyone else from Pennsylvania, because you guys are just a freaking riot. Everybody hunts hard and plays hard when we're done. I mean, it's a great party.
Does Jeremy know that? Does Jeremy know you?
I told him.
Okay,
He's tethered now. It don't matter what we do. He made it.
Yeah, he's
he
tied
made
up.
it.
Yeah,
He made it. I'm an anchor to his career, so I can't.
that's right.
Yeah, we try to do Pennsylvania, right?
Well, this year I have a Garmin Rhino.
Oh,
So-
yeah.
I'm pretty jacked about that. And well, here's a question for you boys, right? I'm up in arms a little bit of what firearm I'm bringing this year, because I mean, last year I was lugging around the old trusty bolt action 06, but like,
That's what I measured.
you know, I got some other options.
What
I'm
are
trying to figure.
what are the options?
I'm kind of fucked up.
Well, I got
hard
a
time doing the
lever
math.
action 30-30.
But
I
that's what
got a pump action 270.
Oh,
And
I like to pump it, Jim.
yeah,
Oh,
I like the pump too.
oh
I know.
fuck, just pump that 270.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
I'm just feeling it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't see how it could be any better.
Yeah.
I think an 1100 with a bird barrel's just right.
I think like an Uzi with a 75,000 round clip would be just perfect.
I'd be going the 06 with the lever action.
I don't know. I'm a pumper.
I just want to spray. I'm gonna spray. Last year I hesitated on that one that was running like a freaking freight train, and I should have just let it eat.
Yep, you gotta let it eat, dude. You can't hit him if you don't shoot.
That's right.
If you shoot, you might not hit him, and you might have to tell everybody that you didn't hit it.
Shoot first and ask questions later.
But you also cannot hit him if you don't shoot.
It was a complete Hail Mary. It was probably $125 or more, and it was like a dead run. But
that's a pea shot.
Still.
No, spray and hope. Spray and pray.
Probably my two biggest bucks were spraying and praying.
Yeah. Should we bring the... We should get the PA buck out. You want to talk about a spray and a pray?
Which one?
That was probably before
Brian's.
Jim. Was that the year before you came? No, my PA buck's right there.
Miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's right. If you don't shoot, you ain't gonna hit. So Jim, you need to shoot.
I agree.
And any gun that you have that can make you pull the trigger more than you already are, that's where we're at. And when one comes running through the woods at 120 or 40 yards,
whatever,
you need to shoot every bullet that you have on you.
You need a gun.
Also,
and you do not stop until it's either down dead deer or empty gun.
I take my 7 away because it has like good optics, and I can see deer close, but yet I can zoom in and hit them on the other side of the mountain. So that's why I take that one.
Yeah,
and it's light.
Jim, can you even see us?
I see you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. So, I don't know how many times I shot at this buck.
5.
Too far.
Enough.
Too far, too thick. But you can't hit him if you don't shoot.
Golly. I wish I was there to hear that. The holler and the holler.
Oh, we hollered a bunch. How could you not? Probably shouldn't do the real holler, but like that's just a shot in the dark. 125 yards or something like that. You have to shoot. Doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah, we're letting it eat this year for sure. And
Okay.
I also got the email on Friday that I was awarded a doe tag for that unit. So
nice.
It'll be good for Pete.
That's a community doe tag, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So what gun you gonna take, Jim?
Jim shot a doe. My radio's not working. I can't hear anything. I'll meet you back at the truck.
Radio silence.
That's going to be the question. I'm going to say I shot. You guys are going to say, well, what's the sex? And I'm not going to answer.
Crickets.
Like Peter Michaelis.
Yeah, that's what happened to Pete last year. Oh, I couldn't hear you guys.
I heard him bang, buck down. And then I asked 100 times on the radio, who's got a buck down? Pete, you got a buck down? Nobody ever answered me.
Yep. That's our dear friend Peter Michael.
We had a buck down.
Oh well.
When you hear buck down like that, though.
Yeah.
That's what dreams are made of.
That is what dreams are made of.
Yeah.
No, the best.
What did Bill's buck score out that day?
What's that?
What did Bill's buck score out at?
Just over 100.
106.
Yeah.
106 and 5/8.
That was a pretty PA mountain buck.
Yeah.
No, he was a pretty buck.
That was
for
a beauty.
sure.
Every one of us would have shot that deer.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, he just was narrow and didn't have
Yeah.
long beams, but he's a beauty.
He's a youngster. I think he was just a nice 2-year-old deer, is what I think.
He was laying in his bed just cleaning himself and
Licking his fucking tip.
Yep.
Yep. No big
Yep.
deal. Cleaning that thing off, getting it ready for war.
Imagine never knowing. He never heard it coming. I mean, he didn't get chased. He didn't.
He's cleaning it off, thinking
He had no idea.
I'm gonna just tear this thing up.
Just tipped over his bed like he had a heart attack.
Still had him sniff it out.
He went to sleep and never woke up.
But you got to think about it. I mean, that like what Billy's buck is, it's a pretty average like younger buck. It's pretty crazy, you know. We've shot a handful of 2-year-olds, and they're, I don't know, they're like around here or more, right? I don't know. It's kind of hit or miss, I guess.
Yeah, there's an older age class there that we've barely tapped into. I mean, we have shot a few mature bucks. I mean,
But this is not. Look at his horns.
I know, and his body was small too. But Ralph said he was hunting him as an 11-pointer the year before, so he's got to be at least 4 years old.
He's saying he's at least 4, but I don't know, man.
Downhill slide, maybe?
Now
No.
the buck that I shot a week later was dwarf that deer. His body, his hooves, I mean everything about him. He was a monstrous old deer.
And he's a 106-inch buck,
and
right?
he's 100. Yeah, I never even scored him. He's he's the same size buck as Billy's, but he was a mature buck for sure. I mean, everything about him was bigger and badder than that deer, except for obviously his antlers.
But this doesn't even look that big right now. Like we're looking at it, it's like, eh.
Well, when we came up on that deer, and not that, we keep harping on score. We talk about score.
No, it
here a
don't
lot,
matter.
But the thing is, it's just how you, like, that's just how you describe how, what a deer is.
We
So
could
anyways,
care less. I thought I was
me
shooting a 130-inch 10-point,
but
which was the
even when
awesome.
you walked up on him though, even as a 12-pointer, you're like, oh, I think he's in the 130s. He doesn't have much mass or anything, and he doesn't look enormous. But I kept telling you, I'm like, Brian, that deer is at least like mid 140s because I go, look at all the points he's got. I mean, he's a mainframe 12, and look at. Usually you shoot a 10-pointer and they got like 2-inch G4s.
Well, they're like this.
This guy's got 5-inch G5s.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what deer has a G5 to begin with. He's got 2 of them, and one of them's 4 inches long. I mean, that deer has just got tines for days.
I'd like to have you score that archery buck I shot 2 years ago. It's got the bent beam.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I am
He's
an
got all
official.
sorts of stuff
I am an
going on.
official New York State Big Buck Club scorer now.
I'll bring a pile of euros for you.
Okay.
I heard there was some controversy on that one, Jim.
Yeah, the internet, you know.
I believe everything I hear.
I'm sure that I was within 5
Well, you should.
inches.
If you're an official scorer, you should measure this one again. Although my bull buck was exactly what it scored.
I'm no better a scorer than you are. I mean, I did learn a few tricks, and I've gotten better at it myself, but I'm sure I'm no better at it than you are.
I like this. That gets me off a little bit.
Yeah, I know. That's nuts.
The thing has a cool
It's relatable, low curvature.
Yeah. Mine doesn't curve down like that.
I get the curve up a little. I mean, that might get somebody off. I don't know. Figuratively speaking.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's just the buck doesn't even look that big, you know what I mean? Just this side's pretty cool, but
well,
I don't know. You walk up,
you
walk
get
up,
a better one, right?
Yeah, but you walk on up on something like that in the woods. It's just like your buck this year with the bow, Brad's buck with the gun or with the muzzle. Or it's just like
yeah, when you walk up and they're bigger than what you expected.
Shit.
Yeah.
Brad's big buck had a 70. He was about 70 inches on the one side, but his other side was so small. Not so small, but it was like, yeah.
Which one?
Your muzzleloader buck.
There's 147 though.
Yeah, he was like 146, but if his one side was so big, is what I'm getting at.
Oh yeah.
His one side was almost 70 like this one. This has got a 70-inch side. Which is, we've only seen couple times. You know what I mean? Actually, it was probably over. It must be over 70.
I think we should touch on a point that you guys were making before I got on about the don't stop shooting until they're done moving.
Absolutely. Thanks, Jim. I'm glad you're on.
Oh yeah, because I've been with people before tracking deer where you go to walk up on them, they look dead, and they get up and run.
Yeah, that ain't right.
And after I've seen that a couple of times, if they're breathing,
shoot them.
I'll give them another one.
Yeah, and don't feel bad about that. So we learned that at an early age, right, Dallas?
My first deer taught me that lesson.
Dallas was 15 years old, right?
Yeah, when I shot my first bow buck, Dad said, "Well, why didn't you?" Because he looked dead and he got up and ran. Why didn't you shoot him? And I said, "Well, I thought he was dead." And then he just jumped up like he was a fucking ghost. Just got up and flew away. So then I shot a buck a month later in Pennsylvania, my first PA trip, and I put a whole box of 243 shells through that motherfucker. He was on the ground bleeding out. He had blood coming out of every orifice in his body. And I was like, well, fuck it, he ain't dead yet. Dad said don't stop shooting.
Empty gunner, dead
Then they
deer.
made fun of me for fucking years about that. Well, hey, he didn't get away, did he? We didn't have to track that son of a bitch.
Empty gunner, dead deer.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's the thing is I was with a neighbor once on opening day. I ran into him. He was tracking a deer. And I was like, I'll give you a hand. And then we come up on that deer. He was laying on a overgrown logging road on a side hill in some cattail. And I'm like, hey, man, there's your deer right there. And he's like, no shit. And he goes to walk up on it. And he got like 30 yards, and the thing got up and ran straight away. And he shot more at it. But, you know, the angle that he was at, he was just blowing hair off it. That deer was laying there looking like it was dead. And that thing got up and ran away, and we never got it. I went after it the next day myself, and nowhere to be found. So I think I kicked him off the hill, but we never recovered him. So after seeing that deer laying there looking like that, you know, if we're in any of these situations where you still got a shot and they're still breathing, or
take it.
You know, if you can tell they're dragging themselves around, or I mean, you owe it to yourself to just shoot the thing and be done with it.
I always walk up to
and
him.
the animal.
I always walk up to him like I'm on the SWAT team. You know, if they can still shouldered right on them. Just if they move, I just blast them. But
yeah, well, and that's why my bull buck I was so nervous to go up on, because for one,
you can't shoot where that deer was.
We can't. Well, for one, the neighbors is right there, and I knew he made it on the neighbors, or was about to the neighbors, so you can't just like run up and push him onto the neighbors. The neighbors will let us go look for him, but it's like
a phone call and
yeah, it's a cluster, and then like if you're gonna jump him, like you don't want to jump him, like you want to just Elmer Fudd him. You know, you want to tiptoe. Even if you think he's dead, you really need to like spend some time and walk up slow and make sure. You know, like there's a lot of times that we're sure, but we've also ran into times where we thought we were sure and we weren't.
I mean, my muzzleloader buck last year, I mean, the muzzleloader is also difficult because with the smoke and stuff, I mean, you can't really tell.
Right, you think you hit him.
You shoot and smoke clears.
You're like, made a good shot. Yeah.
So you reload, but you don't really know where you hit them.
Yeah.
That one in muzzleloader last year, I mean, I reloaded, pulled the scope back up, got a good rest, and I could still see his legs moving. You know, he was laying on his side, but
shoot him again.
Still had a perfect shot at him, and you know, I'm way up in a tree stand. He's all the way down the bottom, and you know, I was like, if he moves again, I'm doing it. And he moved again, and I did it, and you could see the blood coming out from right behind the shoulder on the second shot, and he quit moving. So I'm like, all right, now we're done. I don't even think I reloaded the gun after that. But
yeah, that's pretty ballsy, though.
Just being sure, you know.
That's how it was in Colorado last year. Deer comes flying over the hill, and I spin around. I'm sitting Indian style, and I spin like 90 degrees, and it's a big doe, a little buck, and him. And they seen me swing my gun over, and the buck I shot just locked him up facing me, and I shot him right in the middle. Or I was just to the right. I shot him like in the neck. between his shoulder. He took off. Looked like he was hit. And it's like, he went down. Like, I ain't stopping shooting. Do not. You're not stopping shooting. Why would you ever stop shooting? Unless you're out of bullets. Like, he's trying to pick his head up. He's trying to get up, you know. Shoot him again. He stops moving. I reload. He looks like he wants to get up again. I shoot. I just nicked him, and he never moved again. You don't stop shooting until they're dead. You know?
Yeah. If you can see them and they're moving.
I would take the ridicule of you shot him 3 times instead of once. I'll take that all day, every day, than saying I shot him once and I let him get up and run into the, so 6 miles into the timber.
I did a few years of just hammer and deer, which, was a lot of them were on drives too, so you just keep shooting.
Keep shooting.
But I settled into a happy medium there of not overfilling them, but you gotta be cautious.
But if you're ever concerned, keep squeezing.
The deer the buck that you chased me and I shot 7 times or something,
yep.
And he fucker was still standing. Me and you were standing there 30 yards from him,
yep.
And he's pumping steam out his lungs, and we're just standing there looking at him. It's like, at one point I was like, should I shoot him again? You're like, I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of like the PA.
All of a sudden he just tips over sideways.
It's kind of like the PA buck. I got 3 in a clip, 1 in the chamber. I shoot 4. I drop the clip. I slam another one in, and he's just getting behind a huge hemlock, and I pop it on, and I see a big hemlock branch drop, and I'm like,
that's the end
fuck.
of it.
Can't see him anymore, get all my shit together, get my backpack, grab my empties, grab my next clip, put it in.
No, I was up the creek, and I'm like, oh, we got that. Oh, yeah. I'm like, he comes back and goes, I don't think I got him.
2 big bucks.
Bullshit.
2 good bucks. I don't know. Shot a bunch. Don't think I hit anything, and then I grabbed all my shit and I walked around that hemlock, and at 150 yards there's a big buck just kind of scooted. And that was all. I just saw him for like a second. He jumped over a log and kind of scooted over, and I'm like, the hell was that? There was 2 deer. There was 2 big bucks. Now there's only 1. I'm thinking, I didn't hit them, so I don't know what they're doing.
Well, this is like we talked before about when you shot your bow buck last year.
Yeah, I know.
When your friends come,
you don't want to be overly optimistic. I'd rather,
That's why you call in your friends though, because your judgment
you're in the
gets
situation
clouded by, you're viewing it through a different lens.
Yeah.
But when you just tell exactly what happened, the other people can look at it
and say, no, this is what happened.
Yeah, exactly.
He's dead.
And I did that on that deer, and
yeah.
We've all done. Hey, did you make a sandwich for everybody?
I feel like you can look at that both ways too, though, because my archery buck last year, I knew I didn't have a solid shot, and of course I'm texting everybody, about what had happened, and everybody wanted to come help, but
Tim's talking. I don't know.
I was more comfortable sneaking in on my own, trying to figure out what happened rather than calling everybody in.
Right. No, it goes both ways. Yeah. It was like my bull buck, I didn't want to jump him into the neighbors and have to deal with that for a day. Yeah,
that was the thing on my archery buck, is I was like, I know he headed for the bedding area. I don't really want to blow him out of there if he's wounded.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yep. So that's what the PA buck, it's like, I didn't think I hit him. But then I saw a few goofy things and still wasn't sure, and Brother Dallas was a ways away, and it's like, all right, I'll get over there and look somewhere where I shot one of these 5 rounds.
You found hair. That was a big deal.
Yeah, I found hair and some hunks of blood and meat. I just basically found a few spots of meat and hair and blood. I didn't actually found a blood trail, but I'm like, holy shit, Dallas, get over here. I hit him.
Yeah. That's what
I hit him.
When you said you hit him, I'm like, he's dead. We're just because he was running down towards 10 other guys, or 15 other guys.
We couldn't have thought it was any better. It was going all towards you guys. It's like, we hit him. We hit him. We hit him. It's like, no, you got a piece of him. It doesn't matter. We hit him.
Right.
We hit him.
Yeah.
He's gonna die.
He's going down.
I had zero thought in my mind about who was gonna get it. I just thought he's hit. We're gonna kill him. That was basically what I thought.
It's probably an unpopular thing to say, but you got to get him leaking.
You gotta get him leaking.
Gun season, you have to get him leaking.
And I'm telling you, I thought 0% chance about me getting him, or it was just like he was running towards the push. I got him leaking. He is gonna freaking go down. Like, how much better could it be? And, we just finished it.
Did Billy get freaking hungry in the middle of his own podcast and
Yeah.
decide he's going to snack out?
Hell yeah. All right, so you guys want to score a couple deer?
Yeah.
All right, so we started out with AJ's deer, and I try to take a educated guess at these deer. I don't even really try to add up numbers. I just kind of look at them and try to think what they are. But I guess 120, give or take, on AJ's. I figured he was kind of an interesting deer because he's very spindly with short tines.
But he's wide.
Got good beams. So in a way, you wouldn't think much, but he was very wide, and he had really long beams, and he was a 9-pointer, and he had like a 3-inch. What did he have? 2-inch G4 on his left side. So my guess was 120. He ended up 123 and 4/8 gross and 117 and 2/8 net. So very nice buck. AJ's biggest buck, right?
Yep.
Congratulations,
Awesome.
AJ. And he was bigger than you thought. So glad we scored him for you. Then we had Billy's Pennsylvania mountain buck. Best deer out of the 3 that he shot down there.
That was an awesome buck.
Yep. So when Billy shot him and I walked up on him, I think I called him a 110-inch buck. And then tonight, looking him over a little closer, I called him 112. And I was actually a little high on that. So the official score on him gross was 106 and 5/8 and 104 and 2/8 net.
About what I figured.
Yeah, he's got short brow tines, but he's a beautiful buck.
He doesn't. When you read those numbers, you don't think of that as being a really good buck, but that was an awesome Pennsylvania deer right there. Like that was that was a super good score there.
Would have been a good one next year.
Yeah,
we had to hear about
Definitely.
how Billy was a big buck hunter for the rest of the trip.
3 days.
I mean, shot him in his bed.
Oh, that's worth something. That's worth at least 15 points.
So
he's like 121
to me.
inch buck. He was sleeping, you fucker.
And then we scored Trigger's bow buck, and he wrote down the numbers and then scribbled all over them. But he came up with 122 and 3/8 on a gross score, which about matches what you had measured him before. So it's probably
You could add it up again. Maybe.
Well, I was going to add it up again, but you scribbled on it, and I don't
didn't
really
mean
feel
to.
like doing it anyways. So, I might have mentioned this before, but I am now an official New York State Big Buck Club scorer. So I can score deer for the book now. So I will work for a beer.
Oh.
And,
or vodka.
What does it take to get? AJ and I were talking about that today. What do you have to do in order to
Well, you need to
measure so many, or
yeah,
how big your donger is? Or,
you just need to take a load.
So
he needed to get nominated by Jenna's grandpa.
Typically, you have to go out in the eastern part of New York. Is the guy that kind of runs the Big Buck Club. He runs a certification course. It's like apparently it's a 3-day course, but which would be a lot. I mean, that's pretty serious commitment there. But I worked with a local scorer here, Leon Hyman, which is Brad's wife's grandfather. He's been doing it for God knows how many years, maybe 40 or 50 years. I don't know. He's 88 years old. And he's 88.
Wow.
He's 88
Still hunts.
and he's sharp as a tack, and he still hunts, and he's still got it all together.
Great guy.
He is, absolutely. And he's been trying to hand over the duties for a long time, I think, because he enjoys doing it. But I think probably the main drag for him is that he doesn't want because once you're a scorer, your name is on the website and it's in the book and everything, so random people can call you. And I think he probably would enjoy still scoring deer for Brad and Dallas and Billy and stuff like that, but he doesn't want too much responsibility.
To be everybody in Wyoming County.
So I scored a bunch of deer with him this year, and he talked with the scoring club and just told them, hey, I got somebody working with me that wants to take over for me. And he'll still be an official scorer, I assume, but his name, I think, won't be in there anymore, which I think is what he wanted. So every deer I score, I'm going to invite him. And I got to imagine he's actually going to probably get more calls than me the next couple of years, because I think people are just going to go, hey, I got a buck that I want scored. I'm going to call Leon. And so I'm sure he's going to do like he did last year and just call me every time he has one. So we're probably going to work together for, as long as possible.
But he loves seeing the big bucks just like anybody else would.
Yeah.
He
wants help, though.
Yeah. I mean,
well, he's got
old.
Parkinson's too, so
yeah.
You
His hands are a little shaky, but otherwise, I mean, he seems in pretty good shape, anyways.
Mine are too, till they have a drink.
Right. So whether they're going in the book or not, I can score me and Brian have been scoring deer for years, and we've always.
I think
we've had several deer scored that ended up going to Leon or another official scorer that we're usually pretty much right on, and we always score them green. Pretty much the day they're killed, we end up scoring them, and then after that 90-day drying period, they can shrink a little bit.
Yeah, while we're drinking, we're thinking.
So my buck ended up being
scoring.
like 1 2/8 smaller than what we scored him at, but we scored him an hour after he died.
Well, that's the thing. We should score my muley, because we scored him green, wet.
Take it.
Right.
Velvet.
Drink it.
You know what I mean? But it's good to see that this buck scored within an eighth or two of what I scored at. And man, I tell you what, I had so many pictures and videos. I really thought some of them were 135 and some were 120. Ends up at 122. Right. And when he was dead, laying in the trees, and I told you guys I found him, and I'm like, yeah, he's like a 135-inch buck. Like, that's what was sticking up. He looked huge.
Yeah.
I pull him out of there. I'm like, maybe upper 120s. And I start taking pictures. I'm like, I don't know. 125.
Yeah.
Hey, is what it is.
So I really enjoy.
Beautiful buck.
I really enjoy everything whitetail for
Absolutely.
But the scoring is something I've always been kind of interested in, but more and more over the years.
Yeah.
It just
I'm very interested.
This will give me an opportunity to just see a lot more deer than I would have before, because I'll end up we scored 4 deer officially in one night, and ended up being a friend of Billy's was one of them, and 3 and I don't know, there was like 5 guys came over to Leon's house, and obviously he had scored for them before, because they showed up with beer and liquor and everything, and they're, hey, how you doing? It's time to score a deer and stuff, and it's like,
Leon's an awesome guy.
I made some new friends, and I think that's just pretty much what it's all about, right?
Leon is.
But is that one of your deer, Brad?
Yeah, it's that 152 that I got 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Leon's a man, though.
Leon was
he's a freaking great guy.
Yeah.
Just to talk to him.
Yeah.
Anytime.
He loves it.
But not even deer hunting.
So
you talk to him anywhere.
Yeah, I seen him at the carnival last week. Yeah. But he has the official books all the way back to the first edition, which I think was 1978. So he gave me a copy of the first edition because he's had a bunch of them. So the things like tiny little
that's
book,
awesome.
and it's pretty interesting, the history of whitetail bucks in New York State.
Yeah. deer hunting in general.
And it should get better. Oh.
Yeah.
Hey,
That was a
what did
good one.
Frank and Bean score?
That's
What did Frank Bean score?
That's how I go. I gotta get in a picture with Brad.
I wasn't
think
even
so?
sure who was there.
Really?
I don't think we ever got an official score on it.
Jim, is that Jimmy asked a question?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Pennsylvania, Jim.
Yes.
Sorry,
He was wondering what Frank and Bean scored.
I think didn't Ange say that he scored somewhere around 165 after deductions?
I think it was 158 he landed at.
Yeah, but I think like before deductions, which is honestly what I care about, was he was yeah, I think he was around 170, I think, but the deductions killed him because his right side was totally jacked up.
I would have loved to have seen what he scored the year before when I saw him, because he was literally just a giant mainframe with one drop tine. And the year after that, he like morphed into something else on his right side.
So I don't like the net scoring system at all. I don't understand why. It seems like an arbitrary thing to just subtract one side from the other. And when you do the net score, it doesn't matter what side's bigger. You don't add up the two sides and subtract the one. You actually subtract the same line from every one. So, yeah, it doesn't. It's a weird system. I always go by gross scores.
So I want to like Frank and Beans when he was killed by Angelo, he was a non-typical, huh? I think so, as a non-typical, but he didn't have enough measurable non-typical points in order to be entered as a non-typical. Does that make sense? Like
I think it's something like 12 inches.
Yeah. So I think like that side just kind of threw him off, and like Jimmy said, like as a 5-year-old, he would have been. He was outstanding as a 5-year-old. I mean, a mainframe 10 with that flyer. He was incredible.
And then he put on a bunch of junk.
And then that right side just turned into a year 6.
We'd love to. Did he have him officially scored then?
I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, we got to talk to Ange.
He kind of did it by himself.
Oh,
we should have Ange bring him to.
Why don't you see if you guys can bring him out to the beer event there next week? And I would love to. We would all love to see that deer because I never actually seen him. But I'd love to put tape to that and see how it goes.
Yeah, I forgot you guys. I don't think either. We haven't seen him. None of you guys were there.
No.
Pictures like we can make 114-inch buck like 108.
Right. All about the angle.
I'd love to see you guys do a live scoring. I've actually never watched somebody do a live score.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So last year you had Ben Williams there scoring deer.
Well, at Shedfest, Ben was there, but he wasn't prepared for that. All of a sudden, he just like started just measuring.
Yeah.
So he's going to bring his stuff. I didn't know that you were. AJ had said something. I knew you were working towards it. You were interested in it, but I didn't know that you were officially certified.
So they never. Nobody's still really come out and said that I'm officially.
Oh,
certified.
okay. Here, so the truth comes out.
Okay.
All right.
So I called or I emailed the guy and said, "Hey, I haven't heard from you." I submitted my information. Leon talked to the guy several times, and then I was like, "Hey, I haven't heard anything in a while." And he emailed me back and he said, "You're approved. We put your name should be on the website." And I checked, and it is. So my name is out there, so people can look me up and so pretty much to me that makes me official. But he goes, they haven't like certified you to the point of sending you paperwork or whatever because we're making changes to whatever new thing. So I don't still, if I mailed something in today, I don't know if they would balk at it. But I mean, they put my name on the website, so random people could call me.
If it's on the internet, it's got to be real.
Yeah, that's true.
I assumed it. I thought you were going to go on the route that you threatened him to show him the big one in order to be able to.
No.
Have we told? I think we're to that point. Have we told the story of the big one?
Anytime you're ready, I guess.
I'm ready.
I think it should be told from your side of the story, not mine, because I don't remember it.
That was your first year in Pennsylvania with us, Brad, right?
No, he wasn't there.
No, I was.
No, Brad was there.
You were, that was the year we killed 6 bucks 2 years in a row. But
yeah, that was. I shot the buck in the morning.
Yeah.
First drive.
Yep.
I shot that buck that was all doofy and both his horns popped off.
That was
So,
a damn nice buck.
It was
too.
I am so bummed that deer was busted up and then his horns popped off
The
because
two biggest bucks you've ever shot have been all busted to hell.
it is what it is. It is what it is. Look at me. I'm a
That was
freaking
awesome.
I'm
Look at you.
a big bird looking motherfucker, all right?
You
Your
said
deer
it.
weren't
I
meant to
didn't
be
have
pretty.
They weren't meant to be. Neither was I.
But
But I got
first fucking hour, and you're just like,
That was like 15 minutes in.
I know.
big buck down.
I was
Yeah.
barely
Or
to
buck
my
down.
spot, and you
Yeah.
were shooting her.
I know. AJ's like, I think I seen a deer.
Did you see it or did you shoot at it? Shoot at the deer.
And so-
that's a negative. Don't shoot the bear.
so yeah, negative on the bear. So we get where was I going with the story? Where was this going?
Big bird.
big
one.
Flying.
The big one.
Into the valley.
So okay, so I whack my buck. Uncle Dallas meets up with me. We whack, we
Carry it.
pack, and
stack.
then we
Pack,
go
jack,
over.
stack, and weed whack.
Uncle Dallas goes to the next ridge.
And
I'm doing some driving.
Hacks, stacks,
Uncle Dallas does some
jacks,
whacking,
weed wax.
and we got just venison everywhere. And Dallas has got his best Pennsylvania buck to date. That's your best Pennsylvania buck, period.
Yeah, until Brian, that was the best buck.
That
we
was
had
the
killed
best.
There.
That
well,
thing was-
Brad probably was bigger than.
It was,
It was
right
close.
there.
10
It had to
pointer.
be close.
Yeah.
Yeah, it had to be 100.
But that 8-pointer was big.
Yeah. I mean,
And
that,
so-
that thing deer had a huge frame on it.
Mr.
He was
Official
very.
Score should score
was
them
bigger
both
than
and
that.
settle this.
I think so.
I'm,
we should.
I'm embarrassed to say the score because of how big we actually thought that buck was.
He
but
was huge.
It was probably 115,
he was-
120.
He was
20.
118 and he had a broken brow tine, so he would have been 120. But
Yeah.
the frame on him was.
He was.
tipped out. He tipped out.
Yeah.
Big frame.
It don't. At the end of the day, like
He was a big mule deer looking body.
It was
on him,
awesome.
Too.
Yeah.
I mean, like I was super fucking
you're still
excited about that day. It was a great day.
Jim, listen, Jim's not going anywhere.
What time is it in PA? Because I'm tired.
Jim made a move and it's not happening. So what else is he gonna
I
do?
don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, once you strike out.
My son's in there crying, but my wife went and laid down with him. So who cares?
Oh, you're good. You're not getting laid.
So we
And
get
you're
back.
not
No,
doing
nothing's
anything
happening.
good.
Yeah,
You're neutral. It's
Good,
called neutral.
neutral,
Which means
neutral,
Can't breathe,
Which-
if you can't breathe,
Nutteral.
you feed 'em.
nutteral.
Nutteral, which means
So-
suck.
What is it? I don't know what it means.
Moonshine.
Moonshine. We drank it all. It's
You're
all
not-
gone.
What?
So it's all. See, look at it. It's all gone. So
Nutteral.
this was the morning that we drove down there.
Yeah.
Dallas had been
First
when
day
we're
one.
all malnourished. We've been hunting hard, whacking and stacking, weed whacking.
Mhm.
And so we get back to camp, and Dallas hadn't eaten like any food all day, but he had drank about
You don't
enough
eat
to
food.
kill a horse.
Yep. you
No,
don't
I
need
brought
food,
that big bottle of Jack.
That's
and
right,
Dallas was like,
Jack.
"Ooh."
Oh yeah. So at one point I go, "Hey, does anybody got a beer? I don't want to go outside. It's too fucking cold." So my dad goes, "Here, you want a Yingling?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, great, thanks."
Yang yang.
And so I grab the Ying Yang, and Brad goes, "I got Jack Daniels," and I go like,
Fill it up again.
That was empty. So Dallas, like the night like goes on, and everybody's having a good time. This was Brad's first year. It was Mike Howlett's first year. I believe Mike was there.
Oh, that cabin was
"No,
awesome.
no, that was the
No.
next year
He
because
came
Okay.
next year.
because
So
that's
next
when
year.
I killed the buck that Mike shot."
That's right. That's right. That was Mike's first time. Yeah.
So Michael's.
So we so we're
Brad's
like
first year though.
so Dallas
we killed
Dallas
how
just
many
does
bucks?
what Dallas does, and he just like disappears.
Right.
And so then the night moves on. The night moves on.
He disappeared like my Jack
Yeah.
Jack Daniels did.
So it's got to be at least 8 o'clock by now, right?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, Tard goes, Tard's on another level all of a sudden, and Robert goes, "Get him up, get him up."
And
Oh,
Tart-
really? I never heard that. He
Yeah.
was he instigated.
Yeah.
Tart
this.
goes, "Where's Dallas?" Dad's like, "Maybe he's sleeping."
I was
Get him up.
sound asleep.
Tard goes down the hallway, and like something that he's done in the correctional facility, just grabs onto the
Right.
mattress
Oh, yeah,
and
that's
drags
prison
your
shit.
ass out
Oh.
of the bedroom.
He could drag a
On
700
the mattress.
On the mattress. The
He
folds
grabbed
it like a burrito
twin
and fucking
mattress.
hauls you out of the
I'm
room.
sleeping on a twin bed, and he grabs the twin mattress, folds me up like a burrito, and drags me out into the hallway.
And you're not like a small guy.
No.
Then Dallas comes
Tard
out.
Is a fucking.
I woke up in midair
Yeah.
as I'm flying off of the bed being dragged by Tard, I wake
Yeah.
up and
So-
I'm like, what the hell?
And that's
is
when the
going
big
on
one
here?
was thinking about coming out.
Yeah, but it wasn't ready yet. It wasn't ready.
No, you had to work it up a little.
Yeah.
Sometimes
So-
you gotta give it the Indian
so-
brush burn.
So the mattress comes out into the living room. Dallas stands up.
There's
And
pictures
Dallas
being
has got
taken,
this
man.
like just 1,000-mile stare. You know, he's just looking around.
Oh, he was gonna
And-
kill me.
Yeah. So he started right. No, that's right. You two started fighting with each
He was
other.
gonna kill me.
Yeah.
No two fighting. He was just fighting it.
Yeah. He's just
He
like
stands up and he's like, I remember why I got up to fight you.
I just am having a beer.
just sitting here.
Then I figured out they told me that Tard was the one that fucked with me. So then I tried to start a fight with Tard, and he sat there and fucking looked at me like he'd never seen me before. He's like, he wouldn't even respond to the fact that I was fucking pissed
Yeah,
off.
so
at
you
him.
came
He
back
just
to
fucking
me.
sat there and looked at me. Then he made me a drink. He's like, here, you need a drink.
Yeah, you came back to
Two
me.
choices. You drink this or you go back to sleep.
Yeah.
I was gonna kill somebody if that was the
Yeah.
fucking
So-
last
It ended
thing
up
I
being
did.
Brother Brian.
So yeah, so after he just gives you a bunch of rib shots, your dad comes over and goes, "Okay, boys, puts you up," and then I'm like, it's uncomfortable silence, and I go, "So Dallas, where are we going in the morning?" Or something stupid ass question like that.
where are we going?
Dallas like, "I'll show you the big one," and he starts unbuttoning his pants right in front of me, and like falls
No,
on top.
you said, "Is that the biggest buck you ever shot here?"
Oh, that's right.
I said, I'll
Yeah.
show you.
That's what that was. Oh, it was so classic.
But I never even talked to you, and you come on, you're gonna kill me. I'm like,
Well, you're the only one I could think of that would fucking do something like that. Don't tell me you weren't thinking about doing the same thing, but
well,
Tard
I
actually,
might have known it was
Tard
happening.
actually fucking did it and then sat there and pretended that he didn't do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, come on, motherfucker, I'm gonna kill you. And he's just like,
The last time you wanted to kill me was your stag party,
yeah.
and you almost killed me until you had me upside down, and I chokeholded you. He picked me up, and our heads were together, and my feet were up in the air.
Oh my
And
god!
I tried getting out of it, tried getting out of it,
Show go down,
and I'm like,
and then we
right
rode
around
home.
his
And,
neck, and I just,
we rode home, and Chris
and
bent
all of a
his
sudden
car.
we hit the ground, and I was still holding on his neck, and finally somebody whacked me. I let go, and he was like,
Then he was even more pissed
he was even more pissed off. I'm like,
The next thing I
He's gonna
remember,
kill
I
me.
woke up at the Helax house the next morning going, where the fuck is that?
he was gonna kill me.
Brad, you were probably there at the time at Buffalo Hill when I'm sitting on the tailgate of a truck and you guys were camping in a different spot and you guys came over to our campsite. I'm assuming you were with him. He comes running up, gets like a 6-step running start at me, fucking winds up, wham, he hits me right in the shoulder right here as hard as he can hit me, and he lands it right there in the socket of my shoulder, and I went like this. I look back at him, and he starts winding up again. He's like, well, that didn't work. He fucking starts, he brings it back again. Well, whatever friends were with him are like, whoa, no.
The only time I ever got you was when you were gonna kill me, and I chokeholded you, and then you really, when you woke up, you're like, you're dead.
Oh my god!
Last weekend, I shot him in the side of the head with a huge squirt gun. And I was in my pool, and I popped up out of the water and shot him in the side of the head. And he fucking turns around and looks at me.
Oh, that's right.
He thought it was Maya, and he was like gonna kill her.
I realized it was him.
Yeah, there's one thing that you guys, those Kirsch's have. They got short fuses. Yeah, yeah.
One time I was going down 28, and Brian starts riding my ass. I mean, he's riding my ass, and what did I do? I freaking pull over right on top of the hill. There, I was gonna fucking kill you. I get out of my truck, I fucking see it's you and Molly driving by. I'm like, God damn it, I was gonna kill somebody today.
I've been totally wanting
That's
to
a good
exercise
opportunity to
my
kill
road
somebody.
rage.
Holy fuck! I just went from like 0 to 10. Freaking, it's dumbass.
I'll show you the big one. That was the point of that whole story.
That was the whole point of the whole story. But see, that's
the thing, brother.
But you know what? I went to sleep all fucking nice and calm.
I know.
Just snuck
You
off
were-
and went to sleep, and that's what I always do.
Yep.
Like, I know when it's my time.
You were done.
I mean, it just, yeah, I get.
But you killed
Yeah, I fucking made it happen.
Something.
You know.
Something.
And I celebrated, and we all had a good time, and I went to sleep, and then somebody wasn't happy about it.
Wasn't me.
Like I said, I must have. I was mad when that's what Chris Miller goes. You fucking woke the bear. You woke.
Yeah, you shouldn't have done that, Chris.
I drug you out, and I'm sitting there having a sip of my drink.
Do that? He was fine when he went to bed. I woke up fucking mad at the world. I was like,
but here I am, a quarter the size of you, having a sip of my drink. I'm still having a good time.
We're watching the
All of a
Sabres
sudden,
game.
Dallas is like, I'm going to kill you.
Meanwhile, this
Why?
Me? What? Me? What did I do?
Just like,
this can't be any later than 9 p.m. at this point.
No.
You guys are
No.
still watching the Sabres game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been up if it was past
Like
9.
125-pound Brian tacoed you in your mattress and dragged you out.
Yeah.
Dude.
I can drag
But
a
it's
pretty
just-
big deer, but not Dallas.
It's hard as the whole thing about him, though.
Mr.
First
T
of
sitting
all-
in the corner just.
First of all, he's the only one with the stones to do something like that to begin with, or to even think of it, and that could actually pull it off. And then to sit there and pretend like he doesn't even know what happened. And then he's like, "Oh, can I make you a drink?"
Can I ease your pain, sir? Yeah.
Yeah, that Jack Daniels though, that makes me fucking
that's good
angry
stuff.
sometimes. Holy shit!
Big Jim's drinking Jack and Coke right now, huh?
Oh, it just felt like the right night to just start a bonfire and just feed some Jack and Coke.
I actually thought that Billy was going to start us a bonfire.
We got a
but
fire pit right there.
Guess not.
We could do it.
I think we're gonna start winding down here pretty soon.
I think so. We can. We can wind her
Can I
down.
make a request for this year's camp?
Yes, you can.
No.
We don't let Trigger pack the stove with logs before bed.
Yeah.
Oh, you guys actually had a wood stove?
Yeah, we had a wood stove, and it was right in front of Jim's bed. And
Both nights,
oh
I
my
fucking
God.
almost died.
Yeah.
You know what? We keep warm by whatever source of electric heat Pete sleeps in front of, and then he runs the TV all night for a little extra.
Do you remember that night? That was what was that? It had to be the second year that we stayed at that cottage, the Stargazer one. They're all Stargazers down there, but the Stargazer one and Mr. T and Chris P are in there, and they're talking about North Korea and
Peter
nuclear.
Michael and Mr. T.
Oh, that's right.
They never even met before, and then they shared a bedroom and talked all night about saving the world.
Yeah. Like, oh yeah. We got Kim Jong Un going on here.
Like, yeah, 12 o'clock and half asleep, and they're in there talking about rocket ships and shit.
Jim, did we ever answer your question about how many inches of horn were on the deck here?
Yeah. No.
Was that answered? Never. No. There's got to be like 600 inches, 500 inches.
Well, Brad didn't even bring.
I didn't bring any.
Well, Brad didn't bring his, but I'm just talking about what's on the deck. That's all Jim was asking.
Oh, there's even a
I
couple
just
of
seen a
sheds.
pile
here.
of
Those are Norwood sheds from 2 years ago. I want to score those, Dallas.
Oh, here's Scotty Norwood right here.
Yeah. What do you
this-
think? You think he's going to split? I think he's going to split. Brian says no. I think he's gonna.
We talked about it today. He's just not a very. He's
just not a big buck.
But the thing is,
he's gonna be a
we had those
135-inch buck.
Yeah, in those 3 pictures we had of him yesterday, when he was back in the weeds,
Yeah.
his frame looked really big. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah.
But he's just
and then
not
he
that
stepped
wide.
out and turned sideways, and he just had nothing.
No.
Like,
He might go up a little. He might add some mass, but he's. But I'm really hoping that he's gonna take those G2s and split them a little.
Yeah.
To give you a point, it looks like it, man. Like.
So that's we tried to give him some cheesy names the last 2 years, but I think that, like Buffalo, he's known for his kicker, so we call him Scott Norwood.
Yeah.
Let's give him. His sides are fairly symmetrical, so we'll score this left side here.
So Jim, you're Big Jim. We got 2 Jims on the phone. Big Jim and Jim D. Jim D, are you?
It's Big Jim and Lost Jim.
Lost Jim. LJ. Are you excited about Pertinier Beer Day?
Yeah, I'm pumped. It's my first one, so. But I see good things online, so the internet never lies.
So I've got I got something that's not confirmed yet, so I can't announce it. But I think I got a pretty badass potential package that I can offer here. But what do you? I'm curious what
Billy, his left beam is 43.5 millimeters.
Millimeters.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's like 42 inches, right? Yeah, it's like 2.5 beers lengths.
Well, Billy, I have that sign too. Don't forget.
You got the sign. So Jim D is going to be donating a PSE neon like bar sign for the giveaway, which is pretty badass. And then you're leaving?
Did I just drop that right
Just
there?
like that? You're going. Just like that. Well, I'm going to see you guys tomorrow, so it's not like I'll miss you. I'll see you in like 10 hours. Yeah. Huh?
Later.
See you.
See you, Jim. Or Brian. I meant Jim. I meant Brian.
It's a nice brow tine.
That's a very nice brow tine, the way he stacks them on there. Don't let the door hit you on the ass, Brian. See ya. I don't know. What was I talking about? Either Jim.
We're talking about beer day.
Yeah, beer day. So, okay, question for you two. Should we do a muzzle? Well, a question for everybody. Should we do a muzzle loader or should we do a crossbow for like the main weapon giveaway?
I feel like you can't go. Yeah, I don't think you can go wrong with a muzzle loader.
Is that agreed upon by the?
Agreed.
I never win anyways, so I wouldn't worry about it.
But if you would,
I'll probably win it this year because I just bought a new one.
Yeah, either or. I mean, some people need one, some people want the other. Whatever.
yeah, I'm thinking muzzleloader is the way to go.
I ordered that Thompson Center Pro Hunter.
Yeah,
and it still hasn't come in.
Really?
Yeah.
Glad I didn't go that route then.
Yeah, I ordered it probably like February, and I haven't heard a thing.
Just from a local dealer? Or?
Yeah, a dealer. So
you ordered from Sugar Bush?
Yeah, I'd really like that gun, but I'm gonna call him probably this week and just be like, "Is this gonna happen or not?"
There goes Trigger.
I mean, that's what I was gonna go with was the Pro Hunter, but I decided last second to go with the CVA Acura.
Yeah, I was close to doing the same thing, but did you actually go get one?
A buddy with an FFL ordered it.
Do you have it?
Yeah, it's freaking.
Yeah, he got the LR, the long range. Thing's pretty badass.
So the long range, though, I don't like that because it's the one
heavy.
with the cartridge,
It's got the
right?
long barrel.
But it's the cartridge one, right?
No. You're talking the cartridge like the one I gave away last year?
I don't give a shit how heavy guns are. Like, I really don't care. Like, I can lift them, and I'm more steady with a heavy gun. I mean, I don't want it to be like 30 fucking pounds, but.
See, I have the Thompson Center Impact, and that's a short gun. So, like, if I want a little compact gun, I'll carry that. But the Thompson or the Acura CVA long ranges, they have the MR, which is like their mountain range, and then they have the LR, which is the long range. And it was really not that much difference in weight, and I think you get like a 2 or 3 inch longer barrel.
I'll have to check that out, I guess, because I don't even know if that one's gonna come in, because Thompson Center got bought out again
by Ruger,
that's what
right?
I heard, and that's what turned me away from it.
Smith and Wesson, right?
Smith and Wesson, maybe.
Yeah, I don't
It
even
doesn't
know.
sound terrible.
No, it's not terrible, but you never know.
Yeah,
when something gets bought out like that.
Yeah, like old stuff might be kind of grandfathered in, but the new stuff, who knows?
It was $1,000, but I'm hoping to see it. I'd really like it before fall.
Usually, when manufacturers like that get bought out, they don't change their process or their equipment. It's just they're changing hands of ownership. That's all.
Yeah.
So I think you guys were fine.
So when Brad doesn't get his gun by deer season, he can blame it on you, Jim? Is that what you're saying?
No, but I'm saying I don't think there's any concern in losing the quality of what you already get. You know.
Agreed. They're still going to use the same, cheap labor to manufacture the product.
If it doesn't come in soon, I'm gonna order a CVA.
Those, I mean, seeing the fit and finish on Jimmy's CVA, like that's a really nice gun.
Well, even Bob Dallas's dad told me that he'd rather carry the CVA than the Pro Hunter.
Oh yeah, because he bought one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let me know if you decide to go that route, Brad.
The CVA.
Yeah.
All right.
Might have a hookup for you.
Can he still get them, Jim?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm in the market for a second muzzleloader.
I'm in the market for my first muzzleloader.
You don't even have one?
Dude, I live in Pennsylvania. All we have is flintlock.
That's right.
I have a truck ordered and a gun ordered, and I have no idea when they're going to come.
We'll see which one shows up first.
Yeah. Good times.
What do you got on order for a truck?
3500 High Country Duramax.
You have what, a 2500
Big dick in the room.
Yeah, he's BDing right now.
The first one was supposed to get built on 6.6, and they told me that it wasn't coming with heated or cooled seats, no cab lights, and something else. So I told them to keep it. And then this one's supposed to come with everything, but I'm thinking it's probably just never going to come.
Yeah. 3500. You need that?
You see the size of that fucking trailer? I run that truck hard.
You do. I don't know. That's an awful lot of truck, Brad. I mean, you're killing a lot of children and trees and stuff with that. Don't you feel guilty for running a truck of that size?
No.
Man, I don't know how you sleep at night, especially living with an earth science teacher.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Run shit over.
Sleep just fine.
Yep.
So this deer is like 20 inches smaller than I thought he was on camera.
Yeah.
I've never underestimated a deer so badly.
What's he, 80 inches?
So if I measure this side, multiply it by 2, and add a 15-inch inside spread, he's 107 inches.
But that's him as a 2-year-old.
Oh, this is the 2-year-old?
That's 2-year-old.
Okay. Where's the 3-year-old then?
3-year-old's Trigger's got his one side this year. We didn't find his second side.
Right.
So that's him as a 2-year-old.
Oh, okay.
So he's 107 inches as a 2-year-old.
So that's a good 2-year-old.
That's a great 2-year-old.
So I was going to say, holy shit, how did I fuck that up so bad?
No, that makes sense.
That's what you want to see. That's
Yeah.
why we thought we had such high hopes for him.
Right.
And then last year,
he never really did anything.
Well, I mean, I thought he was still pushing 130, upper 120. I don't know.
Probably.
All right, kids. I got to go to bed because I got a puppy that's going to get me up
I
in
should go
like
too.
4 hours.
Yeah, I
Not
would
even.
have to agree with that.
What?
Mine's no longer a puppy, but he still gets me up at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I'm hoping he stops that bullshit pretty soon.
Yeah.
But whatever. I don't really care.
Hey, Jim.
Yes, sir.
Just give it one more shot when you head to the sack, all right?
I'm going to try, but...
Yeah. Just
realize
kind of
that
like
there's
jump
one-
in there, like kind of real playful like, and just see what happens.
Might catch her in the middle of a good dream.
Yeah. Your wife's more fun when she's sleeping. Just remember that.
Trigger told me to not stop shooting. So
That's something
I'm gonna
that-
do.
Yeah, there you go.
Just don't stop shooting.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Yeah. Emma's got a sticker on her water bottle that says that.
Yeah, that's funny.
Right
Thanks
after
for
I
coming
told
down,
her.
Bree Rad. You gonna take your wine bottle, or you drink it all? Wow, what a guy. Peanut Grigio. So, are we done? Is this over?
Well, you're the host.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not one to just hang it up.
Can
To hang up
Dallas
the
tell
cleats.
us a little something about that grinds his gears before we go?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get a grind your gears
We should
before
grind
head
our
out.
gears.
Oh, man.
Do we need to get another drink to grind your gears a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. I need one. We're gonna have one more drink to taper it off here. I haven't had one in like 35 minutes, and I had a nice roast beef sandwich, so I think it's about time. Do you need a sandwich?
Yeah.
Dallas needs a sandwich.
I'd love a sandwich.
I'm bowing out.
All right, AJ's gonna bow out. Uncle Dallas and I are gonna grind some gears. We're gonna feed him a little bit.
AJ needs a sandwich.
AJ just put his headset down. AJ, you need a sandwich to go? No, I am good. You want me to put some beef on a roll for you? No. No? Some horseradish?
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to say some things while Billy's making me a sandwich.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good for the audience.
What kind of roll you want? You want a plain roll? You want some sesame seed? You want Kimmelwick? What do you want?
Ooh, Kimmelwick.
Kimmelwick? You want horseradish?
Heck yeah.
Oh, fuck.
If I'm not sneezing out my nose by the end of that roast beef sandwich, then you didn't do it right.
That just making me hungry.
Last at deer camp last year when I picked Dallas up and after one of our drives, and he literally had like packages of like lunch meat that he just like had sitting in my truck all fucking day, and he just like made sandwiches like on the go.
I'll tell you what, we don't know each other well, but had you ever been so happy to see somebody as when you found me on the road last year the second day?
Did you see my eyes light up? Like,
yeah. I saw this blue Dodge coming down. I'm like, dude, that's Jim. We pretty much left you for dead already. I'm like, well, we could always call the state troopers after we get home and let them find them. I mean, no, that would be.
It had been many hours and many miles until I've actually seen a person. So it was awesome to see you.
Glad to be there for you, Jim. Sorry you got lost in the shuffle, but that's why you got to have that's why you got a Garmin Rhino now.
Yes.
So, and that's pretty much going to be a hard, fast rule at this point. That it's like even my buddies that show up on the last day and just want to hunt near the road or whatever. It's like that's fine, but I told them already. I'm like, it's just nobody can come without a Rhino. I mean, we just have to know. We have to have communication with everyone all the time. It's that big of a difference.
I feel like everyone that there has enough woodsmanship to get themselves to like safety.
Yeah.
But like you still can get lost pretty easy.
Right. But it's safety's one thing, but being in the hunt or out of the hunt is another. I mean,
yes.
Because you were in the right spot in the morning and we had some communication, me and you, and did everything right, and then you were gone. And it's like we weren't really hunting. We eventually just dropped down, but you can go from making it home at the end of the day, I suppose, is priority number one. But priority number two is you want to have a chance to be a part of hunting and kill something, right? So.
Yep. Yeah, this year we'll be all set. Like I said, I got the Rhino, and I got a good system now on my. I set my tracker on as I hiked through a lot of those hollows and stuff, so I got a good map layout of the different drives that we do. So I feel confident that we're going to be in good shape this year.
Good.
I'm feeling like I'm feeling good. Like if I got a good shot at, I think, taking a shot at something this year. For only being my second year out, I'm feeling confident.
I hope so.
Has there anybody else that hasn't connected yet in the group out there?
Yeah, like 85% of them.
You mean like tonight?
Yeah. Yes.
I don't know.
Like, is everybody that goes out to the PA camp, is that everyone's shot a buck at 1 year or another?
Oh, that, yeah, probably. No, not Clayton. So Chris and Pete were two of the last ones of the group that hadn't killed anything, and they did this year.
Mm-hmm.
Did AJ get one?
No. AJ, Clayton.
And Rob, too, I don't think either.
Rob and DJ. Rob, DJ, Holly. Yeah, there's quite a few, but most of them have only been there a couple times.
No, Michael shot the foot off that one.
Yeah. Did you guys see the picture of the one with three of us are standing there holding our bucks, and then Howlett's in the middle of the picture holding up the hoof from the one because I cut it off and gave it to him.
Did you grind any gears?
No.
No, I'm waiting on this topic here.
Well, I don't have anything specific in mind. What you got anything on your mind, Billy?
Are you going to turn this on me? This
All
is
right.
your segment.
I'll tell you something that grinds my gears.
Okay.
You want to know what grinds my gears?
Let's hear it.
CWD. Everything about CWD. I hate the fact that it exists. I hate the fact that we have to argue back and forth about whether it's a thing or not. I hate the fact that I have to think ahead and wonder if it's going to be something that actually affects me going forward, because the white-tailed deer it's actually one of the biggest parts of my life, and I feel like if I didn't have that, I don't really know what I would do. But I hate that there's no cure for it. There's no way to test a live animal. I think that everything about the white-tailed deer is almost perfect except for CWD. That grinds my gears.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at even predation, I mean, it's not. You look at these coyotes running around, these fawns you see popping up on camera, and you're like, there's no way they're going to make it. And somehow, some way, I mean, there's still fawns running around. They made it through, So it's not like that factor that they can make it,
They're the most adaptable, survivable animal that there is, But that's like the one thing that looms out there that nobody has a solution for. EHD can wipe out like most of the herd in an area, but in 3-4 years they bounce back and they end up stronger than they were before. I heard somebody say recently that could actually happen with CWD, that they could build immunity to it and they could actually fight through it and be stronger. And I thought, oh, that's a good idea. I never heard that before. And then they said that it could take like several hundred or 1,000 years.
Jesus.
So I'm like, well,
yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to be around to see the solution to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whole thing with CWD has really started to, honestly, it grinds my gears too, because I just feel like so much is with CWD is just, I've watched the presentations, I've had this discussion. It's a discussion I want to have on this podcast with, there's a biologist here at Cornell who is Kristen, I believe it's Kristen Schuler, I think is her name. She's top end, well-respected biologist that's studying this whole thing. But the amazing part about CWD is that all or the majority of the cases of confirmed CWD have been in extremely high density deer populations, not in like your normal big woods or even around here. I wouldn't consider us to have an abnormal over deer population. It's in Iowa. It's in some of these, like suburban areas where you've got just like way too many deer in Wisconsin for sure. So like hearing that discussion, and we've had this discussion, Dallas, where it's like everything we've been through over the last 2 years with everything with the pandemic. And it's like, where has the pandemic hit the hardest? It's hit the hardest in the areas where you have way too many people in a very small area. And to me, there's a lot of
natural selection going on.
There's some correlation with just the sheer facts of what's going on in nature there. And that does grind my gears too, because it's like, are we spending as hunters and as conservationists, are we spending, our fundraising dollars and the things that we donate to these organizations that are going to the study of, deer management and CWD, are these dollars going to something that's ever even going to find a cure or an answer? Or is it just the fact that it is
a live test?
Yeah. Is it just unhealthy to have that many deer living in that small of an area?
So that's one of the biggest beefs in some of the areas where they've tried to fight it, like Wisconsin. They've got it really bad. So their solution is to shoot every buck that's living. So they want you to shoot every yearling, just everything with antlers that moves, they want you to kill.
Right.
So you're ruining the
future stock.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to change your mindset. I mean, it could be fun to just be like fishing and just try to, bird hunting or whatever and just try to kill everything. But, it just totally changes the dynamic of deer hunting. We don't even know if that's going to work either.
Right.
So
and that's been the point. Like guys like Ted Nugent have just been a voice for this, and I've listened to his points that he's made on different podcasts, and it's like kind of have a hard time disagreeing where he's coming from. Is like, are we ever going to actually be able to control this? You know, or is this just nature doing what nature does? And you know, we call it CWD, we call it COVID-19, we call all these things all these different names, but in the end, is it just nature doing what nature does and controlling the way that that nature is going to nature?
You have to consider that how many times in the human history have entire civilizations like the Romans have been wiped out? And, you know, the most strongest successful civilizations in the history of the world have been wiped off the face of the earth, and yet here we are, thousands of years later, stronger than ever. You know, the plagues and the pandemics and everything that have killed, like, there's been plagues that have killed half of the humans in the world,
like black
historically,
plague, right?
and guess what? We don't get that shit anymore, right? I mean, so there is something to that, but as a whitetail hunter, we're not concerned. We just want to know what's going to happen tomorrow. And most people want to look at it and say, well, this isn't really going to affect me tomorrow. But you don't know. The reason they have these transportation laws is that you don't know if somebody's going to shoot a deer in Iowa, throw it in the back of his truck, drive to New York, and throw the skull in the backyard, and all of a sudden you're going to have CWD here.
Right.
Because we still don't have it in the live herd in New York. It's only been found in captive herd here, I think.
Yeah, that's correct.
And that's another thing that bothers me is that I don't know if this law was ever enacted, but they weren't going to let you couldn't use urine anymore, right? So I talked to the Wyoming whitetail.
I don't know them. I know of them.
Okay, so their kids work at Moog, so I talked to them about it, and it's like, he goes, it'll ruin our business, but here's the thing, like, they're CWD free certified, and I said, well, how does that work? You know, because it's like, to me, in my mind at that point, I'm like, well, you know, what is that? You know, you just say
just
that
certification, right?
No, to get certified, they had to kill one of their deer out of their herd every year, and have it tested, because that's the only way you can test it is a dead adult buck. They have to kill an adult buck out of their herd like 3 straight years or whatever, and certify that they didn't bring any new deer in from the outside. The only new deer were bred and born from inside their herd. I think it's a 3-year certification, and that's how you get certified CWD free. Then they take a sticker with a serial number and put it on every bottle of product that they sell that can be traced back to that place to say that they're CW. So it's a pretty bulletproof system.
Right.
Like, why are you going to, like, so because they even say, like, to spread that disease through urine would take like a obscene
direct contact.
Like the saturation that would have to be, like, I'm not sure if one perverted deer drinking urine straight out of the other
one
could even
golden shower loving deer is gonna.
I mean, so now they're going, so these laws that kind of are ridiculous, like, that's just pissing people off more about this whole thing. Like, why can't we just be doing this research in the background? And then on the other hand, I mean, I do, like, okay, are there things we know that we could stop to prevent, like, taking deer across state or even county lines?
Where you know you have an issue.
Especially from known places.
I get it. I understand that.
I can see both sides of it.
Right.
But I hate to see small businesses local to our community being affected by something.
Yeah.
Their deer are certified CWD free.
Whether it be small business or just the sheer factor of, and then, like to me, it's a factor of, like, us as humans thinking that we can play God. Like, like, how much money and time and resources are we going to dump into trying to solve CWD? when in the end, it's just that we have an extremely unhealthy deer population. That's what I mean. That's just to me the basic, simple science of it is that we have an unhealthy deer population. It's not normal to have deer living in an area that has literally no trees and all ag fields, and the deer are congregated into one place. It's not natural for deer to be living in a suburban area where what used to be wooded is now developed into a housing complex, and you got deer living off people's bushes.
Yeah.
Your phone's on the floor by your feet. All right. But like to me, like that's the problem.
So I see EHD as just more of an accelerated version of CWD, and I know it's different because CWD spreads between deer, whereas EHD is picked up from the midges.
From the midges in the water, like
but
in a time like this where we've got stagnant water.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but if you look at what happens with the EHD, it devastates populations of deer. It's localized, but it will. The Drurys have had it happen, and Bill Winke has had it happen. So, like, these are the whitetail meccas of the United States, right? Like, their deer are managed to the point of they control everything that those deer see, eat, do. You know, like, there's everything, right? And yet, EHD has gone through those populations and just decimated them, and it sets them back for like 3 years.
Right.
I mean, it really crushes them. But I've heard Bill Winke say that when they come out of EHD, the strongest survive, and that's when he's killed some of his biggest, most just nastiest bucks, because the ones that survive that as youngsters and then had 3-4 more years to grow up and ended up being 6-7-year-old, like 200+ inch deer, and Drurys have said it too, like, that's when they finally recover from EHD, they see a stronger population than what they did before, and a healthier population, because the deer that could come through that ended up being better for it. And that's why, like I mentioned before, that somebody had brought up that, yeah, probably the deer are going to win.
Right.
But this is such a slow thing that's going to take such a long time that none of us are ever going to see the results of that.
Right.
It's going to have to get a lot worse before it gets any better, and that's why they're just trying to stop the spread of it. 2 weeks to slow the curve.
Correct.
So, it's it's probably something that's never gonna directly affect us, but we don't know. I mean, it might. Maybe next year we're gonna have the same thing happen in New York. We just don't know.
Yeah.
I could tell you that it directly affects the deer processors in PA, because they are now no longer allowed to accept quarter deer or deer from out of state.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that hurts their businesses. I mean, I process a lot of my own, but there are times where I'd sport local or, just a time crunch and you drop something off or whatever. And now I can't do that. If I bring home, and a lot of the places we hunt, as you guys know, you have to bring your deer home in pieces sometimes. Mm-hmm. And they can't keep track of all those pieces because, and to all the points you just made, that they have to protect everybody. So that's where they're at.
Well, at least once you piece a deer up and get it home, it's like now half the work is done. You might as well just keep going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could throw those quarters in a cooler or whatever. So at least you've had, you got more options at that point as opposed to bringing out a whole deer.
What do you guys, Jim and Jim, think of the CWD situation? I mean, we've all listened to discussions and, yays and nays on the whole thing.
I'm honestly not that well read on it because we haven't dealt with it much here, and I haven't really paid much attention to it. It's kind of one of those things that, like, until it's on your doorstep.
Yeah, it's easier to just ignore it and say it doesn't affect me. But the thing is, though, that every wildlife biologist that's on every YouTube or podcast that I listen to, whenever all the NDA guys, like well-respected people in the industry, every time someone asks them what's the biggest threat to white-tailed deer, to every single one of them says CWD. That's the thing that we're the most afraid of, that we know the least about, that that's the thing that could affect the deer the most. And there's a funding problem too. We don't have, probably every state needs to get funding to research it. And if it's not something that's affecting the animal, who's doing the research on it? Like maybe Wisconsin's getting funding, but even then they have a couple of counties that are getting decimated by it,
Right.
no more. Like, so where's the funding for the research coming from, and who's doing the research? Like, there's a lot of people out there that probably want to be doing it, but there's just so much unknown with it. The fact that they can't test a live animal is devastating. I mean, you have to kill an animal to be able to test it for a disease that could like affect the whole population.
But like listening to this almost makes you think about like comparing it to like humans, like cancer. It's like how long and how much money has been put into that, and then there's still just absolutely no answer.
Right.
That's exactly where I'm coming from. And I don't know. I guess I've become very skeptical about a lot of things over the last couple of years, to just really question all of the designated experts on all this stuff and say, it's not that they mean harm by the predictions or the things that they think or the predictions that they make, but like,
right.
where are we going with all this? And show me the cards, because everything that you've done or everything you say you're going to do, nothing is changing. And where are we headed? And like, are we just going to continue pounding our heads against the wall and saying that this is a solution when this isn't going to fix anything?
Well, no one has proposed a solution that I know
No.
of. That's the scary thing, and that's part of what grinds my gears, is that there is no solution. There's no suggestions for it. And the researchers they're more frustrated than anyone because they know it's an issue, but they can't get a grip on it. And they're afraid, they have to look at things from a 30,000 foot view or whatever and say that, we're the people that need to be studying this and trying to figure out what's going to happen, and they can't get a grip on it. And as hunters, we just want to go and hunt deer.
We want to go do what we do, yeah. But they call, they being the designated experts, call everything right now. And I mean, every day there's 10 different crises in 10 different areas of our lives.
Yeah.
And at some point, we all just get to the point where it's just like, I come home every day and everything seems just fine.
Right.
So you keep crying wolf here.
Right.
I'm just not buying it.
Yeah, at
because
some point you have to live your life and do what you do. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I know. I'm not trying to create fear over this situation.
No,
but
agreed.
This is just what aggravates me, is that it's out there, we know about it, and we just don't know. A pandemic, COVID-19 came around, and we knew that it was going to wipe out a certain portion of the weakest people in our population. I mean, that's what we knew from day one, was that we didn't know how long it was going to last. We didn't know how we were going to get rid of it. We didn't know when a vaccine was going to come, but we knew that it was going to kill a lot of weak people in our population. And not to be callous about it, but the strongest will survive, right? Most of the people,
Darwin. Yeah.
Most of the people that died from COVID-19 were susceptible to disease.
2, 3, 4 comorbidities.
Yeah. So it was old, and it was sick. It was old, sick, fat, obese people. Like it was the weaker parts of our population that were mostly going to be affected by it. Not everything, but I mean, you got like Sports Illustrated still writing about how the Kansas City Royals are. Do you see that thing? Kansas City went to Toronto this weekend, and they had 10 players on their active roster that couldn't go into Canada because they were unvaccinated.
No shit.
And you still have these leftist magazines like Sports Illustrated writing about them and saying how stupid they are. And it's like, these are professional athletes in their 20s, in the prime of their lives, that are healthier than 99.999% of all the people in America. These are the very healthiest people in the world,
right?
Professional American athletes. And we're criticizing them because they won't get a vaccine for something that is never going to affect any of them.
And there's studies coming out fairly frequently now that are showing that the vaccine is not doing not nearly what they said it was going to do. And like that's just something that hopefully will get us flagged on this podcast to say that we are, talking about this discussion, but it's like.
But the media is still ostracizing healthy people for not getting the vaccine.
It's crazy.
I got my vaccine. I don't have anything against it, but to tell me that a 25-year-old professional baseball player
I got it, right. I got it, and I got COVID, and I'm good. Yeah. I'm all set. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Right.
I have nothing against people that want to get it, but to ostracize people who are never going to be affected by something like that, or even if they are, let's say 25-year-old Kansas City Royal Whit Merrifield was one. Andrew Benintendi, he's like 29. He's an outfielder.
Sure, Benintendi
used to play for the Red Sox, right?
Yeah.
So he's been their best player this year, and the Yankees were rumored to want to trade for him, and now they're saying the Yankees are looking at it saying, well, we played in Toronto all the time, and we could have to go there in the playoffs, so we might be hesitant to trade for a guy that can't go to Canada. Andrew Benintendi, if he gets COVID, and he's probably already had it, let's be honest.
Right.
Let's say he hasn't and he does get it. He's going to be better off for getting it. He's going to be stronger than he was before because he's going to build the immunity to it. His immune system is going to fight it off like nothing ever happened. Likely. There's a freak chance that maybe there's some underlying condition that we don't know about.
Right.
But maybe we need to know about that. My brother fell out of a tree and found out he had cancer.
Right. I know.
Molly just said that last week. Brian probably would have died of cancer.
Brian would be dead right now.
Tree.
Yeah. Yeah.
He fell out of a tree and hit his head, and they scanned his head and said, holy shit.
You got shit for brains.
Yeah. Your brain's fucked, but you got cancer. We should probably fix that.
Right.
Like.
Yeah, he's never talked about that on here, but that's the reality of life. It's like shit happens. You don't know why, but it does, and it can make you or break you.
There's no sense hiding from shit.
No.
This stuff that's not going to affect you.
No. No. So that's the thing. I mean, that's all in a nutshell. It's like, I mean, we've talked about this since day one. I can remember.
Oh yeah.
April of 2020. Me and you out. We're like, you said to me, you're like, this is all going to get shut down. The whole thing, school, everything, and I'm like. I'm naive. I don't have kids in school. I'm about ready to have a baby have baby number 2. And it's like, sure, Dallas. And it's like, bing, bing, bing. Like it all just happens and it comes true,
Yeah.
And
it scared me, you having to have a baby in the hospital with all those restrictions. I mean,
dude, it was cake.
Yeah.
It was the easiest thing ever.
Didn't you guys kind of sneak into a time when things kind of had
It was weird. It was May. It was May 8th. Kate was born.
Of
2020. And like Sarah went into labor. Bam, like 3 hours we had a baby. It was like wicked fast. And we went in there and it was awesome. The nurses were great. The delivery system was outstanding. Same hospital we delivered Billy in, and they let me like come and go. Like I left and went and got us food at Panera Bread or whatever. Like I went and got us.
We kind of fell into that same time slot where it was kind of slowed down for a little bit.
Yeah. People were starting to think that it was getting better, and then they freaked out again and said, "Oh my God, Omicron or whatever the fuck." I mean, it's just.
Well, that was Alpha. That was before Delta.
I don't even remember that one.
That was Alpha. And then, we went along, but I mean, I think we're in for, what grinds my gears, I think we're in for another, this next, what we got, August, September, October. We got 3 months of some real shenanigans that we're going to see here. And I think like a lot of people are just going to have to, there's only a portion of this society who is kind of aware and understanding of the challenges that we're facing, the things that are going on. And there's a lot of crazy shit that's going to happen. And like everything's going to be a crisis and everything's going to be scary. And I think we just need to just strap in and focus on our home fronts and keep
Hunt
things
deer.
tight and hunt deer. Yeah.
I'm hoping shit hits the fan to where like work shuts down from like September 1st to like December 25th.
That wouldn't be terrible.
You know, we always joke about that, but like having that happen on the first shutdowns, you know, I don't want to see that happen to anybody again.
Yeah.
Just the way all of that went, because you're sitting there thinking your job's safe, and all of a sudden it's gone.
Yeah. I kept working through the whole thing, but it didn't. The initial shutdown didn't bother me as much because I was going to work every night, and then me and Billy were going and cutting trees and scouting every day. So it's like you couldn't do anything else in life. So every afternoon, me and him were out there doing deer farming and shit. So
yeah, it wasn't a bad
we
situation,
took advantage
right?
of it, but we thought it was going to be temporary too. So we're like, we'll just weather the storm, take advantage of the cards we're dealt, because you can't control it at that level. You know, I mean, you know, I think you were alluding to a minute ago that I think in November we're going to have a,
Right,
a
that's right.
red wave coming here where there's going to be a lot more right-leaning authority in this country that, you know, I'm not going to say that that's necessarily all the political policy that's going to make the world perfect, but on things like what we're talking about here, those are people that are going to shut down that bullshit and say we can't have, you know, our world, our economy needs to keep running. I mean, I said right from the start when COVID happened, I mean, they've been wrong about so many things, but the things they told us on day one, even before COVID ever hit the United States, they knew this when it was in China and overseas. They told us that it mostly affected people with comorbidities and the elderly.
Right.
And they said before it ever got here, they said we don't know why, so that was a bit of a mystery, but it doesn't generally affect kids.
Right.
And yet, we shut our schools down for months and months, and then when we let them go back, we had ridiculous restrictions where we basically made them feel like they were prisoners or slaves or whatever the fuck you want to call it.
I mean, prisoners is a pretty good example. I
they
mean,
they really did a number on our kids that never should have been done to them.
Us, the four of us on this line right now can't even comprehend what our kids have had to deal with. Like, can't even. I mean, our years in grade school.
Julia was 3/4 of the way through kindergarten before she went to an entire year of pre-K and then 3/4 of the way through kindergarten before she was able to get on a bus without wearing a mask. She didn't even know what to do.
Right.
She's like, "Where's my mask?" "Oh, you don't have to wear that anymore."
What?
"I like it."
Right.
Well, the fuck you do.
That's awful,
No,
man.
you don't.
Right. So awful.
And the people that sit there and say, well, it's not that bad. Well, it is that bad.
It
When
is
my
that
kid
bad.
tells me they don't know what it's like to not wear one. And then they come home and they're not wearing them. They're over at the neighbors and their friends and everything, and nobody's wearing a mask. What the fuck good do you do? You know what grinds my gears is virtue signaling.
Fuck yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to wear our mask to pretend we're healthy, and all the fucking politicians are in the background, and we're getting private videos of them having gatherings in restaurants and bars and mingling and shaking hands and hugging, and nobody's wearing a mask. It's like, what is more virtual signaling than saying that, you know, creating all these policies and standing there in public and saying that you have to do all this stuff, and then behind the curtain we get a look behind the curtain and you're not doing any of this shit. You're totally contradicting everything that you're telling us that we have to do.
Yeah. Yeah, it's disgusting.
CDC stands for can't decide crap.
CDC, or no, it's the WHO. So at the beginning it was the World Health Organization that was creating all these COVID protocols, and it was all China. China ran the WHO, and they're the one that started the whole shit, and we still haven't got to the bottom of where it came from. How fucking stupid is that? We've wasted 2 years of our lives, and we know where it came from, but nobody will ever investigate the fact that it came from a lab in China that was called the goddamn coronavirus lab.
China.
That's where it came.
Yeah.
It came from China.
Do you want
But
me
it
to put my
literally-
surprise face on, do you?
Literally, there's a fucking lab in Wuhan called the coronavirus lab, and we're not sure if it came from there.
No, Uncle Dallas, that would be straight up conspiracy.
But you want to talk conspiracy, though. Here's the scary thing is that I don't think they released it intentionally because they released it in their own, because they would have done it in their own. If they wanted to release it intentionally, they would have done it somewhere else. But there's a very good possibility that they were developing biological weapons.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a good possibility that they were going to release something in New York City or London or all of the above, right? And it got out accidentally before they were ready to let it go. But we don't even want to look at that lab and ask them. We asked if we could have access to the lab, and they told us no. And we're like,
that's
fine. Oh, man.
We respect
okay.
you.
Yeah.
No, you're good
respect your
people.
privacy, right?
Yeah.
This is like this is like personal health privacy or whatever. You
Right.
know? Like
It's
there's literally a lab in Wuhan that's called the coronavirus lab, but we're not sure if that's where the coronavirus came from.
Not a good chance.
And we can't call it the China virus either.
Yeah. No, the point I was getting at is that I think it's not that I think I'm just repeating things that I've said, but I also believe, or things that I've heard, but I believe that over the next 3 months, I think you're going to see all the things that have happened in the last 3 months here in this country are just, it's insanity. Like this stuff that just, not even just in this country, but across the globe. And it's like, what in the God's name is going on?
Well,
I think that it's all just going to continue to be a distraction up until November because they, the current, controlling party in this country wants to see distraction to take us off of the fact that our economy is just a dumpster fire.
Right.
And policy is a dumpster fire, and the things that they've made us do were not correct.
And they're just blaming everything on Putin.
Right.
And who can argue that it's not like you can defend Putin, but if they're blaming all the problems in this country and this world on Putin. No. This shit was going on before that happened.
Yeah.
Does that help? No, it doesn't help.
No.
But that's their scapegoat is, it's Putin, the Putin economy and everything. It's like, the fuck it is. But 2 years ago, we didn't have a reliance on foreign oil and wheat and different things like we do now.
Right. We're so dependent on external inputs. That's why it's so important to just shoot just a freezer full of deer.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of the time, eventually there comes a point where you got to shut it down and live your life and just let other things take care of themselves. But you also can't be completely blind to what's going on.
No. Nope. Jim and Jim, what do you think? The Jim and Jim show. Looks like we just got one Jim with us.
I mean, I agree with everything you guys said. The whole thing just grinds my gears. I can't even to see, like, my son just turned 2, but him going to daycare, he didn't have to wear a mask or anything like that, but all his teachers were required to, and now it took him a couple of weeks to get used to us dropping him off without throwing a fit because he didn't even know who the fuck his teachers were because they were required to wear a mask.
Yeah. As if that was going to help anything.
Right.
Ever.
Do you feel like it's impacted your girls at all in their learning, Dallas? Like as far as probably
not
Julia more than any of the.
Well, at that age, they learn more from just life than they do at school. The older ones, even Emma, she was in such a young grade. But I would say that, yes, it's impacted them, but not in a way that's significant.
It's going to
really.
take them back, yeah.
Not going to really take them back. But you're also comparing it against the other kids who also went through the same thing. So you can't really say that, like, when your kid takes a developmental hit, all the other kids probably took the same hit,
right?
So, but no, I mean, they dealt with it okay. I mean, kids do adapt, but I think I've made this point before, though. It's just like when they lose 6 months of development and we lose 6 months of living or experience or whatever, if we're 30 or 40 years old, so 6 months is a very small snapshot in our life. But when kids are my kids, when 2 years ago they were 4 and 8 and 11. So if you take 2 years out of their lives, or 6 months or whatever it is out of their life, that's a very large percentage of their lives that they missed. They didn't live their life for a very long period of time.
No.
They didn't live it the way they were supposed to be living it.
Correct.
And, we're supposed to try to provide them the best opportunities and examples of the way to live every day. And there was a long period there where we couldn't I got a lot of questions about why can't we do this or that, or this is bullshit or whatever, that was a lot of what it was frustration at home for why we couldn't do things the way we wanted to do them.
It's rough, man. It's rough.
The kids will never realize that they took that hit, but it's sad for us parents to sit there and know that they missed out on a quality chunk of their life.
It's a very negative impact on our entire society, and it didn't have to happen. That's what's frustrating, is that we knew in the beginning it didn't have to happen. If you wanted to send them home for 2 weeks to slow the curve, it would have been like a snow day.
Yeah, right.
Like, okay, go ahead. But,
yeah.
What they did to them and to the teachers and the administration, a lot of those, the administration at the schools.
They had nothing they could do. They had to follow the rules.
Yeah.
And it's shitty. It's real shitty. But it's what we've all lived through. But I hope that I have a bad feeling that come this fall, we're going to see a lot of the same shit. I've been listening to different discussions on podcasts and that, and, the big cities are already back to masking, mask, not necessarily mandates, but like everyone's wearing them. New York, LA in particular. And it's like, not here again.
I'm still seeing people around Buffalo, and particularly black people, not for nothing, but outside by themselves, like walking down a sidewalk with a mask around their chin or on their face.
It's just odd.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Right. Yeah, I mean,
that's part of that is because they've been told that they're the population that's the most
at the most risk.
At the most risk, right? So they're going to wear a mask, but they're wearing it outside by themselves with nobody around.
Yeah.
Or they've got it down around their chin. Like, why don't you just take it off and put it in your pocket and wait until
I'm at a conference this week, right? And there's people that are, that come in that are doing presentations that are with government, like New York State entities or partners of New York State, right? This guy comes in and he's wearing a full-on, like, KN95 mask. Walks in with his backpack on, like, through this big conference room, right? With, like, 250, 300 seats in there, maybe 150 people, if that. Walks in with his mask on, all freaking tightened up, right? Does his presentation, no mask. Puts his mask right back on. And then he comes and sits down at the same table as me for lunch. There's like 4 of us sitting at like a 10-person table. Takes his mask off. He's eating. Of course, you have to take your mask off to eat. But it's like he's sitting there eating lunch with us and having just a great.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you doing?
Virtue signaling.
It is. That's exactly what it is. And it's like, stop. Just stop. Like, you're not accomplishing anything with what you're doing. We're all going to get sick.
Yeah.
It's the reality of what it is.
People like that need to be told what they're doing.
Yes.
They need to
in front of other people.
They need to be.
They're the kind of people that need to be, dude, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
What are you doing right now?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
So here's a couple things that are interesting. Is that at this conference I was at last week, is that the DEC commissioner, Sagos, whatever you want to say, he was supposed to be there. He didn't show. He sent one of his minions. Hochul was allegedly supposed to show up. She never showed up. Nobody showed up from the office. Like, they know they can't go into places like this in public because people are just like, just don't care about what they're saying. Don't trust them. Don't believe them. Nothing. So it's like I'm in these places where these people are supposed to be showing their face and they do not want anything to do with it right now. So it's all a bunch of bullshit. Plain and simple. So I just hope that there's enough people out there that realize that come November that it's like these people are just on another level and they need to go bye-bye because they're just not good for our culture.
Anybody that's had anything to do with COVID policy needs to go.
Yeah. Even if they're Republican. I don't care if they're Republican. If there's somebody else out there that is somebody I can vote for that is, even if they're, not the same, I'm a Republican, registered Republican, even if they're not Republican, I don't care. Just somebody who agrees that we need to just move along with some of this stuff. That's important to me.
I haven't seen anyone on the other side that's actually had the guts to say that.
No, they won't, because they wouldn't be in that seat if they.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but that's a reality.
Most of them know it, but they could never say it.
Yeah.
That's the problem with politics in the country is that you have to toe the line.
Yep. That's the way it works.
And the ones that are most radical, a few of them get away with it. Like Trump got away with it for a while, but now he's paying for it. As far as going against
the mainstream,
or your side or whatever, they have to toe the line to get to where they need to be.
Yep. It's the way the system works, but at the end of the day, there's, it's a democracy, and we all as a people have a vote. And it's not just the three of us now with Big Jim dropping off. It's not just the three of us that make those decisions. It's everybody. But if everybody can, I really do believe that like there's a motion happening here in this country where even people who don't agree with what the three of us think, and maybe don't vote the same way historically, they are just like, what in the hell? Like, little Johnny needs to go to school without problems. Like, it's the simple stuff in life that people can relate to and say, like, these things just are not lining up. Like, we need to do better. Like, that's not what this country's all about. So, I mean, I have a lot of hope. I have a lot of positive vibes about the fact that, things ebb and flow and things change with cultures and times and eras. And I think we're in a kind of a dramatic change right now, obviously within this country and in the global alignment of things. But I think there's a lot of good positive things that come out of it if the right people step up and get involved to make a difference.
If something silly like the mask mandate comes back again, are you guys going to take a hard stance and just be like, no?
Yeah, I'm not wearing a mask. Yeah. It's not happening.
Where we're at. That's kind of where my household's at.
I mean, I hadn't worn a mask since like March of 2020 anyways. But I mean, I would wear it into a business like a store.
I would respect, right?
Because
if there was a business that wanted you to,
I'm not going to go in there and cause a problem. But but at my job or anything like that, I just like ignored it. And a lot of people were doing it, and a lot weren't. But I could see myself taking a hard line. The kids I have a harder time with because they flat out won't let them into school, and I'm not homeschooling them. So
it's difficult,
in
man.
the end, I do think that it's still better to send my kids to say what you want about public school or whatever, but I'm not teaching them. I'm not schooling them. I got a job to do. I have to support my family. I can't homeschool
being
my kids.
At home dad, yeah.
There have been parents around the country that sent their kids to school just to get them, kicked out, basically, to make an example out of it or whatever. So, I mean, I could maybe, just, unfortunately, though, at the school level, they can't do anything about it either. So,
yeah,
I can't blame my kids' school for following New York State laws.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, they're all in the spot. But I think in the end, like anything that there is, if a good majority, if not the strong majority of people say no, not again, then we're not going there.
Right.
And that's where I am. Like I was a good boy. I took the shot, and I got double vaxxed, and then I got the virus. I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. This has never been a thing in my entire life, ever. I mean, I'm 34 years old. This is the last 2 years have been the first thing that this has ever been, even a discussion point. Like you got your tetanus shot, you got your rubella, or you got, measles, whatever the key vaccines you get. It's never been a thing.
And I kind of see that point too, because why did I get all those vaccines?
Right.
Well, because the establishment told me when I was too young to think for myself that I needed them.
Right.
But now this one here, it's proven that most of us are going to fight it off like a cold or like nothing at all. And how many people that got triple vaxxed, got COVID, fought it off, were healthy, and lived through it are going to die a year or two later from some other thing because they were a weak, incompetent person. Fat, obese, stupid, unhealthy person that's going to end up dying from that comorbidity that they fought so hard to fight off COVID, right?
Where if they would have worked...
They dedicated 3 years of their lives to not getting COVID.
Right.
They're going to end up dying
instead
from
of
being
taking care of themselves
and stupid anyways, right? Like
exercising, and
millions of people are probably going to die for, that we saved them from COVID, and they're going to die anyways.
Right.
The strongest will survive.
That's
ultimately it's
the way it works.
That is the number one
nature
rule of human, or just not just human. That's the way of the world. The strong will survive.
So beer and roast beef sandwiches at 2 a.m. is not part of that.
Of surviving? No, it certainly is.
I am not here to claim that I'm the healthiest person in the world.
I just
I'll
had
tell you what, you stack me up against the rest of the world, and I'm going to be one of the last ones to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we'll be whacking and stacking whitetail bucks.
And if I'm not, then I'll say it's my own goddamn fault. At least I'll be willing to accept responsibility.
Dallas will take extreme ownership and accept responsibility for his faults.
I am what I am.
It's funny you say that, Jim, because I'm thinking about going inside and making myself a nightcap sandwich.
I could probably use one more sandwich and one more beer. I told my wife, here's the problem. I'm probably sleeping here because an hour ago, she's like, when can I come pick you up? I'm falling asleep. And I told her.
Oh, did she drop you off?
Yeah.
You can sleep here.
I'm probably going to have to. An hour ago, I told her I'm ready, and I never got a response. So, yeah, I'm probably sleeping on your couch.
That's fine. I'd be honored. We might as well just keep a drinking.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go make a sandwich, and then I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Get the hay.
Jim, I appreciate the hell out of you being here with us for the long endeavor. We just never know who's gonna be joining us for the late hours.
The pleasure's all mine, Bill. I'll see you boys in a couple weeks.
Thanks for grinding our gears and getting us going on a topic that's far from what we were discussing earlier.
Yeah, it went from inches of antler to CWD to COVID to I don't even know where we're at now.
I don't even know.
Being fat and eating roast beef.
Well, it was Jim that decided to grind my gears. I wasn't really worked up about anything before.
Yeah.
At one time, I had a whole list of shit in my head. I think I brought up a few of those things, but
never happened.
Apparently, the grind my gears segment went over well. People seem to like it.
That segment gets Billy the most ratings, so I'm just trying
It
to
does.
help out Pert.
It's all about ratings. All right. Well, let's tie a bow on it right there. It's 2 a.m. Uncle Dallas and I are going to go make a sandwich, and I'm going to tuck him into the old couch. And, Jim, we're going to see you in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from, right meow. It's Sunday. So 2 weeks from now, we'll see you up here for the Pert Near Beer Day.
All right, meow.
All right, boys. See you.
All right. See you. Okay. That was anticlimactic. See you. Feedinum. Check out the link tree that we have in our bio that you will find on Instagram and Facebook, Pert Near Outdoors Podcast, and you will see some of the great companies we are working with and the affiliate codes that we have. To name a few, we have, of course, the Huntworks. We have Origin, which is a company that many of you are becoming aware of, but this is the company Jocko Willink has, where I am a big user of their supplements and have been for a couple of years now, and now excited to see that they have a hunting line coming out. So we have a 10% discount there that you can take advantage of when they start to drop their new product. So that's Harvey 10 on anything on Origin's website, and you will get yourself 10% off, which is awesome. We have Genesis 3D Printing, which is another company that we love. That is Austin Cantola and his wife Hope out of Michigan, and they are engineering and creating some very unique products to help hunters with some of their unique needs. So check out Genesis 3D Printing and use promo code PERTNEAR for 10% off. And you can use any of those links to Cabela's, Camo Fire, Black Ovis, and more to get yourself maybe a discount, probably not, but you're going to put some money in my pocket, and I greatly appreciate that because this is a net loss organization, and maybe someday I'll break even. So keep that in mind next time you're out to go do some shopping. Feed 'em.